Welcome back to the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Murrell. This week's special guest is Cullan Mais, the host of the Central Club podcast and an inspiring advocate for recovery and change. From his struggles with addiction and near-death experiences to building a platform that highlights resilience and personal growth. We dive deep into his journey and how he's using his voice to make a difference. Thanks for listening and watching this episode.
The lengths I'd go to, the money I made, the things I stolen and sold for pennies once a month, fortnightly to weekly, and then to every day. You haven't got a clue, mate, the lengths we go to. And it ain't just one hit, I want 10 hits a day.
Welcome back to the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Murrell, and this week's special guest is Cullan Mais. Really looking forward to Cullan sharing the Good, the Bad and the Ugly. How are we?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm in your seat.
I know, it does feel bizarre. I'm not going to lie.
We've just done a little podcast there, mate. Well, I say a little podcast, and it was very, I enjoyed it. You got, I thought a lot out of me, and I enjoyed it, mate. And I just want to say thank you very much for letting me come on your podcast and your hospitality today, mate.
Yeah, of course, mate. This has been a long time coming, as we said on the previous one, that we hope your followers will go and watch. But yeah, it's been about 12 months now and we've been meaning to get this done. But obviously this is a new studio. We've been here for about 4 months now, 2 months filming, I'd say. So I wanted to make sure it was in the right place.
Yeah,
man.
no, listen, we've been talking since earlier in the year, and you know what? We hit it off, and it's brilliant that we finally got it. And look, I walked in before and it looks lovely, and you're doing well, and like I say, I wanted to get you on our podcast. I know you've been on a couple of others, but I wanted to put my own spin on things, and I know you've done quite a lot, but I want to find out the good, the bad, and the ugly about you.
Yeah. And I haven't done loads. I've done a Lad Bible interview, and then I done Tommy Robinson because he came on mine and he was like, I want to interview you, and I know that Tommy, he gets bad stick. But I do know that a lot of his followers are the common man, the British patriot, and who, we'll get into it, but who struggles with addiction more than anyone in this country, it is the common man. So I thought if I can share my story to his platform of people, hopefully I can help
Bring more people out, yeah.
Not just bring people over to me, but some of his listeners who are probably going through the similar situation as me, I can help them, And so I done that. Then I done Tuffy as well because I liked how he started his. But I still don't think that people have got like the gravy out of me.
Well, listen, we're gonna try and get the gravy out here, and like everyone, I always say to everyone, just want to start from where you grew up, where you're from, family life and school life was like. Yeah,
so I'm from Cardiff.
Fairwater.
How do you know that? He's doing it, isn't he? Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm from Fairwater, which is just a standard council estate, really. It was built in like the 60s, I think, 50s, 60s after the war. And, people moved from the Docklands and other areas of Cardiff and Wales. And, my family, my father's side of the family are born and brought up in Fairwater since it was born. It was built, really, because my father's side of the family were Greek. My great-grandfather was from Greece, was a seaman on the ships and moved to the docks and then moved to Fairwater. And my mother's side she was born in Landock Hospital, which is Cardiff, but she grew up in England. It's bizarre, actually. My dad was born in Corby, which is in Northamptonshire, by accident, and brought up in Wales. And my mum was born in Wales, brought up in England. It was a bit of a bizarre one. But yeah, my mum and dad, have lived in Fairwater since I was born. And, my upbringing was great, really. I speak about it a lot. But, a lot of my mates...
Didn't have the upbringing like you had?
Yeah, I would say so.
Did you have brothers and sisters, though? Or was you the only child?
Yeah, I got a younger brother.
Yeah?
Younger brother. So, I'm the oldest. My mum and dad had me when my dad was, I think, 19. Mum was about 20. It was like a year or two difference. So they were pretty young. He grew up in a council flat. So where my granny and granddad lived, my dad's mum and dad, they lived on Pentrabain Road, and round the corner they built a new estate on the old school, Bishop Hannon, which was a Catholic school. And they moved in there, and it was like, I think they paid like 30 grand for the flat at the time. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're going for like 80, 100 now. Do you know what I mean? And they're tiny and they're shit. But it's just the
With the
times.
times, you move with the times.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I remember growing up in a flat, but you know, my mum and dad, you know, as we'll go into probably a lot of trauma and addiction and stuff. Like years later, I even sit back now and think like of like, was my childhood shit? Like was there anything that like kind of nudged me in the direction of going to addiction? And you know, I can't seem to find the trauma. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was great. Like the memories I have, amazing.
Proper council estate, Cole.
Oh yeah. You know,
Loads of characters on there, loads of...
Yeah. So Bishop Hannon Drive, the estate I live in. So for example, you look at a new Red Row or Persimmon estate now. Yeah. So this one was built in the 1990. I think the name was Belfields, like the company that doing Belfields. And I've actually been traveling. I've traveled around the UK, and they're not common, but I've seen identical housing estates as where I live, and it's like, you know, half houses, half flats, and half houses. It's like back-to-back houses. And there's one of them in Cardiff down by the docks, but I've seen some in other places in England. But when that was built, that was a really nice. That was brand new, like, do you know what I mean? My mum and dad got a new house in there.
Yeah.
Lovely. It was a one way in, one way out. But if you come off that estate, you're in Pentrabain and Fairwater, which is quite, you know, rough. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's rough, and you probably don't think
Where I'm from.
Runcorn's rough, but other people would say fucking hell, fucking
That
Fair.
estate's
Yeah,
rough or whatever,
and it's full of characters. The estate I was from, a big sporting area.
You're banging to your sport as a kid, though. Didn't your dad play a big part though on the estates with all the, you know, the sports and stuff?
Yeah. So like, my dad was like, he was our baseball coach in the summer. My dad played footy. He was a decent footballer. You know, I still speak to some of his mates who say your dad was a baller. You know, like
What position did he play?
I think he was midfield.
So he was a bit of a baller then, was he?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or was he one of them who got stuck in?
He was like Glenn Hoddle, they say. Like, he's massive. You look at my dad, he's a big guy, and you just wouldn't think it, you know, but was meant to have been a gifted footballer, could have went somewhere. Unfortunately, he met my mother. So that's what happened there. But he coached my brother's football team as well. He was also, he tried everything, my dad. He
Was he good at everything he put his hand to? He was a good player, like, or...
Yeah. In sport,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Same as my brother. He was an all-rounder. You know, he could play
everything tennis,
rugby, football. Yeah, he could do whatever, like, you know. And my brothers are saying, unfortunately, I'm not. I think I had mum's side. I played base. Do you know what's really interesting for the people, Liverpool listeners, let's say? So I played baseball. Now it's called British baseball. Now there's only 3 cities that played British baseball, and they were Docker cities.
Yeah.
So you had Liverpool, you had Newport, and Cardiff.
Yeah.
So it's been a dying sport for a long time now. So towards the end, when I was 15, it was still a dying sport. So the English side, the Liverpool side, their funding wasn't as strong as the Welsh side. So we would go up to Liverpool for internationals. I played for Wales, basically.
Did you play at a decent level, yeah?
Yeah, I played for Wales, base 1. And look into it because it's fascinating. And when we went up to Liverpool, we played not far from Stanley Park, actually. I will get the details and I'll send them.
Yeah, we can put them on,
man.
Yeah.
You know, we were speaking to some of the old timers who were part of the, you know, English baseball organisation, and they were talking about the Dockers leagues themselves had like 100 teams. That was just the Dockers. Then you had Liverpool as well, and it was a massive sport. Like it was televised in the 70s and 80s. It was a televised sporting event. So yes, it's fascinating. But like, you know, I played baseball, played rugby. At a decent level, really. I still have a game of rugby now.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, like growing up was wicked, like, because you know, my dad always got us involved in stuff, and
you were active.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Well, to speak to your nan, she played a big part of your life.
Yeah. So like, I got 2. Obviously, I had my nanny, who was my mum's side, and my gran, who was my dad's side. they both played big parts in my life, really. You know, probably shouldn't say it. I had a preference though of the one nan than the other. You know, we go to nan's, it was like, oh, I don't want to go there. But my granny who lived around the corner, I was always there, like, you know, and yeah, like just felt at home there. Do you know what I mean? Not to say anything bad about my mum and dad.
Yeah. Would she let you get away with a little bit more?
I think that's what it was, yeah. And the food was nicer. You know, my mum and dad weren't, you know,
give it out working or whatever, and
yeah. And I genuinely believe as time has gone on in the world, like we've got less skillful with our hands. And I think my granny, who's an old school Scottish lady, knew how to cook food
from scratch.
Yeah. And my mum and dad, who were relying on granny as well for their food because they were just having takeaways. You know, so you know, I used to love it. My granny and granddad, yeah, they played a big part in my life and still do.
Oh, brilliant. Career-wise, did you know what you wanted to do when you were leaving school and stuff, or?
So it's quite funny, really. I remember we done like a class thing about like what you want to do when you're older and stuff, and I said I wanted to be the man with the white glove who moves the snooker ball around. And
do you know what you say about your careers officer? You go see your careers officer.
Yeah.
I remember I said something. I wanted to work in the ticket office at Goodison. You know what I mean?
It's a nice perk, isn't it? Like, you know, I can watch my team.
You're moving snooker balls with the white glove on. It's fucking.
I was either that or be the sign language guy in the corner of the TV, something stupid like
Instead
that.
Instead of like having a trade or whatever.
I never ever thought of having a trade.
No, I never.
And you know,
now when you think about it,
I'm gutted because like you know they you know
build your own studio if you were a joiner or whatever,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, so there was that. But when I left, like I always wanted to do something in, as mad as it sounds, like media. Like I wanted to be an actor. I was quite good at drama class. I was like the class clown in school and stuff. And when I left school, so the last year of school, and then you know a year before everything went tits up, I done an apprenticeship in a salon. So I wanted to become a hairdresser. So I actually done MVQ1, started on my level 2, and then I left. But like, yeah, and it wasn't just like, you know, everyone wants to be a barber now in this day and age, but this was a hairdresser. I wanted to do women's and men's, which, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that, like.
No, nothing wrong with it. And, you know, it was, at the time, it was a bit of a stigma to it, like. But in my eyes, I was thinking, because I was a bit of a womanizer as well, it was my way of, I could get the girls, like, you know.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, you're gay. But other people would go, listen, you'll get some fanny doing that. Like, so I was like, yeah, I want to be a hairdresser.
The madness there.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But so, Cole, when did the madness begin, mate? When did it all fucking go? You know, when did it start?
Yeah.
I know we're going to get straight into it. We've gone from
yeah.
But, you know, we've got
it's, so looking back now, I had issues. And we all got problems, you know, like, but back then it wasn't really spoken about. So first of all, I got an uncle who was addicted to drugs, still is, and he was like the, I don't know how to put it, but he was in our lives, like, and he was like fucking Uncle Anthony. He was my dad's brother, and when I was about 6 or 7, I remembered him being around all that time when I go to my nan's. He was there. He was, you know, he was like my big brother, really, because I didn't have a brother.
Like an uncle who you look up to.
Yeah,
and
yeah. And he was cool, like, you know, to me anyway.
But you didn't know what was going on because you're too young to understand.
No, and he was young as well. So, like, he didn't really get to, like, grow up because I remember at 7, like 96, 97, just like I remember he just disappeared, and you know, my nan took a turn for the worse. My dad, my mum, my granddad, just it was. And I remember like commotion as well. I remember like being in school around that time. You know, when I was young, I'm talking like nursery, fucking reception.
Yeah.
Then into 1 and 2, it really came about, and I noticed what it was. But he went to jail for killing a little girl, basically. It was death by dangerous driving. He was going to see his girlfriend, who was about 30. Yeah, the girl he was with. He was 16, I think, or 15. And him and others in the car were drinking, going up to Caerphilly to see his girlfriend. and he hit a girl and a boy who were playing on the side of the road and killed the girl, unfortunately. He was learning this now from speaking to him, because we've had many heart-to-hearts. He never ever openly said who was in the car with him.
There was other people there. He took the, well, obviously, he didn't blow anyone up.
No, didn't. Yeah, he might have been the one driving, but he didn't say about anyone else. He never ever did.
He took the rap for everybody else.
Yeah. And he was actually the only one who stayed there as well. So he's told me many times that she died in his hands.
Oh, fucking hell, cool.
And like, he just thought like everything, he was panicking, but she was saying everything's going to be okay. That's what he said. She said to her. So yeah, like, and what people need to realize is, like, he's had work on himself since. He's damaged. He was always slower, let's say. Brain defects, dyslexic. He had a big stutter back then. It's gone now, but he was just tanty, like, do you know what I mean? But if someone told him to do something, he would, like, you know what I mean? Easily led, yeah. That's the heartbreaking thing about it.
And where people would pray or what's name and just like send them down the garden path sort of thing.
100%, yeah. My dad was one of them. He used to say, like, he said, girls will come knocking for me, and I'm leaving, and he's following me up the road with his outfit on. I'm coming with you and all that shit. And he'd be like, fuck off. But a lovely guy. Like, my dad used to say things like we'd come home from wherever, Granny and Granddad would be, and the TV be gone. And he'd be like, where's the TV, Aunt? And he's like, oh, Mrs. So-and-so got it. She got no TV. And he's like, yeah, well, we go in the outhouse, a smaller one. Oh, I didn't think, not selling the TV for drugs, giving the TV to another neighbour.
So he had a heart of gold.
He had a heart, but he don't realise what he's doing in the process. So we, like, Mrs. Lambert, who was the lady next door, police went to him, Auntie's nicked the car. When they've gone to him, he said, yeah, well, I took Mrs. Lambert shopping. She needed to get shopping. He didn't realise that he's nicking a fucking car. That his logic ain't there, and what they've said to him is, on your two, like, kind of sides of the brain, the one with
side,
consequence, it ain't there.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, it's not.
Yeah. And it, like, delayed, So, that was that. And, I remember growing up, we used to go and visit him, and I just remember I'd be playing in the play area.
Yeah, in the jail. Like,
yeah. Little did I know that I'd be fucking, on the other side of that table at one stage.
One day, yeah.
And I remember I used to hate the waiting as well. We used to wait in the waiting room for ages. Yeah. And I was like, I hate this place. I hate it. But I used to love going to see him, and I didn't know the full extent of why he was there. It was quite, it was quite cool to me. And there'd be times where it'd be like my granny and my dad, or my dad and my granddad, or my mum, and they'd be crying, arguing with him all the time, saying, just tell us who it is. Just tell us who it is.
He wanted to get to the bottom of it because of...
Yeah. And I just remember, I remember his face just being like, so, it was mad. So growing up, also in my life, I realised that I had, I'm now diagnosed, which I got diagnosed in prison with, severe OCD and ADHD.
And OCD, not meaning the clean and OCD, you mean...
Yeah. I tried to be clean. Yeah. And do you know what? It's actually gotten worse since I've been clean. Since I've been clean off drugs. I'm now clean. Like, it is bad. But back when I was 14, 15 with the boys playing rugby, getting chased by the police and, going over to Ely to fight the Ely boys and all that shit. It was obvious I had something wrong with me. The boys used to rip the piss into me, but I'd rip the piss into myself as well.
Taking the piss.
It wasn't something that I'm going to go, I got mental health, I need to go to a doctor.
Because you didn't know and you don't realise and understand it.
Yeah. So like things like I would, walk around lampposts and on the main side road.
Right way or left way? Is that
it was always on the outside of a lamppost. So say like you're walking on a pavement.
Yeah.
I have to go around the lamppost to include it into the pavement, and I'm walking on the road and coming back out, just bizarre shit. I have to touch them. I used to have to bite things and do it 4 times and just mad stuff. The classic ones, switching stuff on and even numbers. And this controlled my life. This was like, I'd wake up, and the moment I wake up, I am bargaining with these thoughts in my head, right, constantly, and I
As
don't
soon
know
as the
why.
minute you wake up.
Yeah. You know, I was very, I think, you know, and don't get it twisted. I had other mates who had their parents, but like my mum and dad, like they were, you know, my dad especially, get involved with the community quite a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, I had it better off than a lot of others. Coming to like, you know, sleepovers and stuff like that, I wouldn't sleep over any of the boys' houses. I'd end up crying and going home. They'd all sleep over my house, like, do you know what I mean?
Felt sick and all that.
Yeah, bad belly and all that. So like I was very like sheltered, like, you know, I was like a homesicky person.
You're a home bird, yeah.
Yeah, big time. And I think from speaking to you know, professionals now, that was part of where this OCD came from. Separation anxiety, thinking, you know, bad things
Overthinking
are
and
gonna
stuff, yeah.
thinking bad things are gonna happen to people. And they've put it down to people going in, you know, disappearing in my life, which, you know, I've spoken about before, but I think I might have worded it wrong. So, you know, at a young age, I was always down my nan's, yeah. I might have made out like my mum wasn't there. My mum was there, and she was always there, but my nan looked after me quite a lot, yeah. So, and then obviously my uncle was there as well a lot, and then he went, and then after he went, my nan went because my nan lost the plot, and she moved back to her family's in Northampton in Corby because she just couldn't cope with the stigma of her son being a killer. So she went as well. And, you know, there was these things in my life where I feel...
That's the trauma that you've probably...
Yeah.
And you don't realise that.
Well, this is it. It could be the littlest of things, you know? But it was... Put it this way. Those things didn't push me to drugs, but it was enough to
Played a
cause
part.
OCD and separation anxiety, which has then led me on to things. And I wouldn't say it's just that. There's many reasons why I went down that road, and there's many reasons why I got out of it, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
So so that was it. So you know, my uncle was 10 feet tall to me, and you know, speaking as a kid from the council estate, we all know people who go to jail, people with reputations, people who are fucking hard men. We look up to them.
You look up to them.
Yeah, and I looked up to him, you know, and you know, anytime you know, I'm not saying I got bullied, but anytime
any trouble or
any
whatever.
trouble or anything, I thought, I wish my fucking uncle was out here. You know, he'd fucking do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
going to visit him and he's telling me all these mad stories. And, you know, what's mad about him is I think mentally he still came out a kid, but from being a young boy who sat in the dock and was given 8 years for that, going into jail, he'd had a lot of growing up to do. When he came out, he was a fucking animal. He was big, like, you know. So I was like, yeah, I can't wait for Uncle Anthony to get out of jail and all that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Which is silly, you know.
But in a way, Cole, you're saying it's silly, but if it's someone that you've looked up to and you've admired and you've always, you know, and then 1 minute he's dead and then the next minute, and then your nan, her son's fucking gone to jail and something, you know, she can't deal with it. And listen, it's like a lot of parents whose kids go to jail for crime, you know, and obviously that crime, you know, it's probably sent to Ed West and, you know, and like you're saying, it's played a part in your life where you've...
Yeah, definitely. And just being related to him as well. So, like I said, when I got into like the older years of primary school, dinner ladies and teachers and people.
Passing comments.
You're Anthony Mace. You're mate. Or Anthony Mace, you know? And it was just like, I definitely think that has an effect on you.
I remember Cullan in school, or on the estate and that. Like my uncle Les, and I fucking, you know what I mean? Like we spoke about before. He was like, to me, he was my uncle, and he was a good boxer.
Well, when you said this,
yeah,
it resonated straight away.
And it's like, but then when, are you later? Are you one of the Murrells? What the fuck's that mean? Do you know what I mean?
Depends who's asking.
And it plays on your mind, and you're thinking, why is it? Because the drug side of things or the alcohol side of things. And I was like, and as a kid, you sort of go into a shell a little bit because you felt embarrassed. Where when, you know, you should be proud of who you are and whatever. You don't have to be some fucking hard knock or whatever, but you're proud. But then, you know, for my family and what happened and addiction, the same as yourself, it sends you Ed West.
Yeah. No, it does definitely. And it certainly sent my head west, and my family's as well, you know, because, you know, we've spoken about what happened with you and your daughter and how that affected you.
Yeah.
Well, the way I was affected my parents, you know, and just quickly on that, like, you know, seeing my uncle, I looked up to him like he's 10 feet tall. The other person in my life I looked up to who is 10 feet tall to me is my father.
Yeah.
And that was a better role model to have than his brother. They were like chalk and cheese, him and my dad, chalk and cheese. So, you know, what happened was pivotal moment in my life. I became, you know, in high school, I hated drugs. Because of all of this, I was anti-drug.
Yeah.
But alcohol was accepted.
As
And
a
it
kid
is in most lives.
In school, when you see all the lads and the girls after, you know, going on a Friday night around the local park or like congregating, getting pissed.
But I was anti-weed. I was like, you know, but like alcohol in my family, and same in a lot of families, which is bizarre to me because it's one of the biggest killers.
Yeah.
No weed. Oh, you smoking fags? Oh, let's have a drink for New Year's. You know when you're a kid and they're feeding you the Carlin or they're feeding you, you know, go on, have a bit of fucking snowball or something.
Skull.
You know? Yeah. You know, it's like that's accepted. So you know that my family same way. And I used to think like, well, you let me drink, but you won't let me smoke a spliff. But you know, I didn't want to either. I was against it. You know, in high school. From your primary school into high school, we transition, don't we? You might hang on to one or two of your old mates, but you find your own people.
You meet new people, don't you?
Yeah, but and they all did, yeah. But I was a chameleon, like, and I think I've been like this through life. And do you know what? There's been times where I've beat myself up, and I thought, am I just not a good person? Am I not a good mate? Because all of them seem to find themselves belong.
What do you mean by being a chameleon? Because my missus says to me, Tony, how can you be mates with them from and them and them and them? And I go, because I got on with everyone. And yeah, but you know when like people go, well, they're from that estate or whatever, and something might happen and whatever. But you can go in that put. Yeah, because I get on with everyone. I don't fall. Cullen, I don't, and I don't think that's where you know what I mean. You have a variety of mates and stuff. And
yeah. But I did have a set bunch of mates who I'll talk about now, out of school, you know, they were the boys who we grew up from, and we were day ones, yeah. But in life, you know, I see people, and I you know, I get envious of them. Like, I'm like, those they're inseparable, yeah. But by me, I would be with, you know, like I said, I hang around with the moshers, I hang around with the sporty kids, I hang around with the girls, I hang around with the fucking
Gooby gang and all that.
The boys who were on the knock, you know. I do, you know, I was with all of them, yeah. But I hated smoking, I hated bullies, and I was a class clown, you know. I was, and I thought, okay, year 7, 8, and 9, kind of just be a jokey kid, disruptor like you in school. Yeah. But year 10 and 11, I'm going to get my GCSE. So
knuckle down and that.
At 16, I'm going to pass my driving test. You know, all this shit. I still haven't. Same as you.
Same as me. I own a garage as well. I fucking don't even
I know. Oh, we didn't talk about that on the podcast. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, so I did that in. It's like, yeah. So that was me. And then obviously my OCD was still there, and it was hard.
Do people notice it? Your friend lines in school, or
yeah.
It's taking the piss out of you because of that.
I remember, like, is what I've said before. We were taking chased by the police. You know what it's like. We used to brick people. We used to call each other. We were the bushwhacker crew. We were called. And we'd hide in the bushes on the main road. And when cars go past, we're just banging them with fucking big logs. Or, you know, you cause a crash and kill someone now. But at them, we don't think that.
But you know what we used to do when you just said that about the cars? We used to do the Indian rope trick. You ever heard of it?
Oh, where you pretend there's a rope.
You pretend there's a rope and the cars would slow down.
Yeah.
You'd all be like that, and they'd get out the car and fucking. And some of our mates.
And we used to have the beating up game. So what it is, like, we wait for the car, and then we beat up, pretend we're beating our mate. And people are coming like, leave him alone. It was the best, like, you know. But like, you know, we were getting chased by the police, and I missed a lamppost, and I went back.
You've got to go back.
And you could see the copper in the distance, like, what the fuck, like that.
Well, you would have been well on your toes.
Yeah. And the boys, there was loads of us, but there was like 2 or 3 who were like my close friends, and the others were like just
associates sort of thing. Like.
And he went, what's he doing? He went, don't worry, he's Mr. Lamppost. Like, because they just knew, like, they fucking knew about my OCD. There was another time the police, like, up our estate where I lived, you know, there's a field, and you could sit down the back end of the field, right? But it's one-way road, and you'd see the cars come up the estate, and then they come around the road to get you. And I remember seeing the police coming up to get us, and they've all scattered, and I've jumped over the wall, and I've jumped over it again, and I've had to jump over it again and again and again to get like an even number of the jumps. Just like bizarre shit, like waiting, and the police are coming up, like. But that was how like bad my OCD was. And everyone used to take the piss out of it. When I played baseball, I used to bite the ball and the bats before I went in. And people would be like, what's he doing? He's like, oh, it's his OCD. He's got to bite the bats. So, I didn't really like, my mum and dad, whether they wanted to admit it or not, they'd be like, oh, shut up, you weirdo. Stop being a weirdo, like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, it is a real thing. And
is that, do you think that pushed you on to...
100%.
To like, was it what was it called? Was it the weed and that's after that?
Yeah. So I remember my dad he was a taxi driver in the nights, and I used to like he'd be working till like 10 o'clock till 6. And I used to be thinking like, oh, is he going to come home? Is he going to come home? Is he going to come? Well, ring him, ring mum, ring dad, and I couldn't go to sleep unless I knew he was home and that. Because I just had this overwhelming sense of something bad going to happen.
Stuff,
all the time, yeah. And I remember just being a part of the circle I was in. They all did smoke weed. And I tried it once. And it just took away all those anxieties.
What was it, you smoking Rocky? Or was it?
So yeah, one of the boys used to nick Rocky off his dad, but green
and burn it in. But
yeah, and I loved that. And you'd be like having to like take your jacket off.
Hot rocks all in.
You'd have to take your jacket off and lean forward just because you get blim burns and all that. And then the weed came out. I remember it was like Northern Lights, Purple Haze, K2, Blue Cheek. These were the weeds that came out at the time. I was like, fucking. I love it, like, and it just, whether it was the laughter, whether it was just the I don't know what it was. It took away the fucking anxieties I had at the time. During this time, something else happens where I basically fall out with my best mate who I've grew up with, and my fault. But we're kids, and I thought...
you just sorted out.
Yeah, but we never. And at the time, it might sound trivial now, it was the end of the world to me because we all hung around together, all right? We all hung around together. I started to hang around with different people I didn't grow up with in school or grow up with on the estate, but people from out of the area. I became a grime MC. Did you see the video of me spitting lyrics the other week?
Yeah.
So I became an MC and started hanging around with other people. And they were smoked. That was part of the culture. Smoking weed, fucking talking about fucking people.
Doing this, doing that.
Yeah. So I had to blend into that, And I went from that kid who just never
the
touched.
quiet kid, and then
the quiet kid, scared of fucking everything. Wouldn't dare touch a spliff, or I might have a drag. And then get some chewing gum and some spray before I go home, to becoming the biggest weed head out of all of them. And all this happened in a space of 12 months, to the point where extreme. I'm selling my PlayStation. I'm selling my fucking clothes. I'm selling, I'm going after people on drawers and I'm taking a bud out and all that. Just like, I'm not addicted physically, but I was just obsessed. And again, that's part of the OCD, that compulsion, just obsessed with it, and I just got really addicted to it.
And you wanted it, so you're going to do every means to get it.
But as we know, with any drug you abuse, it's going to bite you on the ass. And, it takes some people it never affects. Some people it takes 20 years. Me, it took a year from being just starting weed to the point where if I smoked a spliff, I get really fucking paranoid. And that was it. I couldn't do it anymore. I abused it that much. Like the psychosis was there, the anxiety was there. It wasn't a fun buzz anymore. It wasn't, we got to the point where I was, I needed a spliff in the morning to wake up. I needed one in the night. I needed one after food, before food. It wasn't doing anything to me. It was making me depressed. And then because of the things that happened, was happening in my life, I just used to get really paranoid. And the reason I started taking weed, which was kind of to suppress my
to what was
OCD.
going on before and stuff like that.
And my OCD, my
Yeah.
ritualistic behaviour, ended up triggering it even more, magnified it.
It's mad because like when people take drugs, you know, it's to take the pain away or to take, so you know what I mean. But then when you're saying it's making you fucking paranoid or like you're,
Well, at first it did help me, but I abused it that much
yeah,
that it didn't help me no more. It made me worse.
it's like when you say, you know, when people get hooked and that, and you think, and you can see what it does to people, like spice or heroin or crack. Why do you want to be, you know, I used to look at me and go, why the fuck does he want to take that? And he looks like, he's like that.
Yeah, so none of those people who take drugs, what you got to realise is when you see a man on a park bench and he's stinking, you know, and his clothes are fucked, he's damp, you know, he hasn't shaved, his fingers are bogging, he's got a flag on the side in his hand, and he's shouting to himself about the love of his life we haven't seen for 50 years. He never intended to go there. He never intended to be there. And when you walk past that guy as a kid, you don't go, man, do you know what?
You don't know why it's got to that point.
Yeah.
I get that. As a kid, though, when I was like looking up to me uncle and auntie and stuff and seeing them fucked, like, why the fuck do you take that if it's going to make you do that?
This is something that I'll talk about. It was a misconception to me, anyway. And quickly, I just want to put in a nutshell of what I think of addiction.
Yeah.
You know, addiction's a full-time job. You know, it's a 24-hour job. It's hard work, and any addict is flat out. You know, it pays very little or nothing. You know, the perks are you know everything, and you're never wrong. And frequent holidays are frequent visits to Her Majesty's pleasure, or a guaranteed hospital bed with the NHS. And if I was 15 or 16 again and my dad said, go down the fucking job centre and get a job, if I went on the machine and that was the job description, I wouldn't take it.
Of course, no.
And I don't think 90% of drug addicts would. There might be a couple of perverted people who would, but I know I wouldn't. And I think people who are in addiction now, knowing what they've been through, wouldn't take it. And the point I'm saying there is, I don't think it's not always a choice.
It starts off that little fucking thing, like you say, Cole.
Yeah, if you show people that, I don't think they would go there. Unfortunately, some people are born into it, you know, whether they, you know, in the culture where they're around them.
Yeah.
Some people are born with it. Some people come out clucking. Some people, some babies come out clucking, you know, as addicts. It doesn't mean they're going to be addicts when they're older, but I'm just saying how people go into that life. Yeah. And my story couldn't be further from the truth, you know. I had everything growing up. So my uncle comes out of prison. So I'm like that. I'm a grime MC. I think I'm the fucking kiddie. I'm smoking weed. Now my uncle's out to back me if any shit happens. You know, that's what I looked at it, yeah? So he comes out of jail and I'm not hanging around with my normal circle of friends. I'm hanging around with these boys who, you know, I'm not with all the time, but, you know, some of them are from the area anyway, like, do you know what I mean? But they wasn't my boys. And then my uncle comes out of prison. The weed's getting me paranoid. I start looking for other drugs. I start going on to benzos, Valium. Experimenting. Taking cocaine, drinking, and whatever else, you know, mushrooms.
So was you on the tablets and that, ecstasy and that as well?
I a few times, not loads. But I did do it. Handful of times. Used to go up Garth Mountain mushroom picking. All that shit.
The end of September time.
September, October.
Yeah.
That mildew on the grass, you know, it's ready like.
Sticks to your lip and all that.
Yeah. So doing all that. Then he comes out. Straight away, I just gravitate to him. Straight away. And he's welcoming, you know. I'm just besotted by the stories he's telling and wow, this, that, you know, like, yeah. I start to see people I've never seen before, you know. I see these boys from London. I see these boys from Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, with my uncle, Bristol even. Obviously, when he's in jail that time, he's obviously built his connections up for whatever.
Yeah.
And he is setting up lines for them. Oh, they call it county lines. This has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Before it was called county fucking lines. You know, you're a Scouser. but like, you know, like he he was the type of guy who would like set up the drug line for them if they needed him to fucking collect anything or
Just get them
look
set up,
after.
in the area and all that.
And then he, I didn't realize at the time, but I do now, and I did not long after. He was on the drugs himself. Yeah.
Did you not notice when he came out that he was a big fella and all that? But then could you tell the drugs that he was on? Was it?
So he came out the first time after the 8 years, and he was like on top form, and I thought, yeah, this guy's the man. He done another 4 years. That's when he came out, and that was when I wanted to gravitate to him. By that time, he obviously got addicted to heroin and crack. Whether it was inside, he obviously
before he went, and then
dabbled it. Yeah. And so now he's out here, and he's fucking who he is. He would like look after guns and after the people, probably being used in multiple.
So he was
shootings.
he was in deep really, wasn't he?
Yeah. It wasn't even his flat. And now I look at it, they were cocooning a cocoon. It was like a prison with it, it was like a. They wanted him to find a place to keep the stuff. He didn't have a place, but
like
I'll find you a
like
place.
A safe house.
It's like a safe house, but they call it like cocoon, don't they? Where there's someone who is in deep.
It.
Yeah, and he don't even want to, but he has to. Well, it's not even like they're going straight to him. He was getting. It wasn't his flat, but he was finding it, and he was living in that guy's flat. And the guy don't want these guns and that, but he's like, shut the fuck up. Like this is,
sort of
befriended
them, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I remember we used to like take photos and that with the guns and all on a little fucking 3510, the Sony Ericsson phones. I remember the one time we had the cartridges and we had the bullets and we were shooting the fucking gun in the pillow. The council estate's ringing, but. Like he didn't fucking care, so I didn't care. I felt safe, and that's the maddest thing. I felt safe around him,
even though the consequences, Cole. Listen, mate, you're getting nicked with that. You're going to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
But like you say,
I thought I'm 15, 16. I won't go to jail. He'll take the rap for me. All that shit,
and that goes out the fucking window later on.
Yeah, Ely. I've said Ely. That's where the boys across the bridge, the other area. Did you see the riots in Cardiff last year on the news where the two boys got hit off the bikes?
Yeah.
That's Ely. Okay. Biggest council estate in Europe, they said, for years. I still think it's a bit of a myth because I heard so many people say that about other estates, but it's meant to be one of the biggest council estates.
Yeah.
It's like a little town. So where I grew up in Fairwater, the area was more of a working man's area. Heroin wasn't accepted, but they were all flat out on cocaine. So, I call them hypocrites. But if you was over Fairwater trying to sell drugs, you're going to get fucked up and thrown out of the area.
That heroin was probably like a what's the name drug? It's a dirty drug.
Yeah.
With coke and Charlie's fucking like, it's okay, it's fine. But like you say, it's hypocritical, isn't it?
Yeah. But over Ely, it was different. There was 15-year-olds peddling heroin and 14-year-olds.
No, anything goes over there.
Ruthless, right? Absolutely ruthless, So my uncle used to go over there and I remember he used to he'd wake up in the morning and the main dealer would ring him up and be like, yo, listen, I've got your bag safe. It's there. I've put something to the side. Please don't rob my dealer. And he would have a bag there ready for a couple of bags there ready for him just so he don't
Was he going over and bumping them now?
Yeah. And I used to go over there not realising the fucking extreme of it. There'd be times where he would he'd jump back in a car with his hands covered in blood and a big bag of pieces. And it was just a movie to me. I fucking loved it, do you know what I mean? Didn't want anything. Just wanted to be there, and just be involved in that.
He was your what's the name that you looked up to and being around him and stuff.
And, I had loads of mates in school and who were just like, what are you doing with this guy? Fucking get away. He's no good
You're going to get dragged into all this
shit.
shit.
He's a wronger. And I'd be like,
that's my uncle.
Yeah. Defence straight
away, yeah.
Yeah. But if he's no good for you, well, fuck you then.
Because you get on the defence, it's your family, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that was it. And another thing is as well, he was dealing with people who were selling heroin and crack as well, local people who were smoking it as well, so for their own habits. But they didn't look like addicts. They had the cars, they had the clothes, they had the girls, the chains. They were funny people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my perception...
Someone who takes heroin and crack.
It's not that guy who sleeps on... it's not,
looks a
it's
bit...
not train spotting. Yeah. It's not.
You'd have a persona or a...
Perception.
Yeah, perception, should I say. Sorry.
When you think of an alien, what do you think about?
Fucking green, fucking...
Something off Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same with the drug addict. It's not always the case. Not always the case. And you probably hear drug dealers tell you that, you know, yo, what kind of clients you have? I have bankers, I have fucking, you know, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the longer you take it, the more you will
get addicted to it. Yeah.
and well, the more you will deteriorate. And, you know, there are just people out there who can be functioning addicts. There is that. And they'll never know. And you'll be like, how the fuck is this guy still breathing? But unfortunately, I was, you know, being exposed to a group who didn't cut the mustard of being a down and out addict. So I'm like, rah. So, you know, slowly but surely, I'm being desensitized to all this.
Is it twisting your turn? You to think, might have a.
I was getting to the point where, like, you are Cole. See them two there, run that over to the bus stop. See that there, give him that. See that girl over there, go and get the money off her.
So you're being like a runner for them and stuff
yeah,
like that?
and I didn't even want anything. It was just mad, like, you know, but...
Was you being paid as well, or was
No.
you no?
No. Just, can you get me some Valiums? Can you get me a spliff? Or get me some, you know, I just want to munch. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just there. So, I always say it, yeah. If you hang round with 4 burglars...
You're going to become the 5th.
Yeah. And I was just hanging around with 4, 5 wrong uns. And I ended up becoming one. I went out one day on a night out with a school kid. We were taking cocaine in the nights. You know, at a time where you could go half on a gram, £50, you know. Goes home, goes to the flat where my uncle was staying and others. Loads of parties, or, you know, it's just one of them 4 or 5
Didn't matter
blocks.
what day it was fucking party time every day.
And that's one thing that my dad used to say to me, which I now know. One of the biggest icks for me is when you have people who are on job seekers allowance and say, can you lend me this? I got my wages next week. Fucking wages. Wages. That's your fucking benefits, mate. You ain't worked for fuck all. Or you get them, you know, on Facebook.
I got my wages
they
at
don't
midnight.
work. They don't work at all. And they go, it's Friday, baby. Yay. And you're like, what have you done all week then to
You've been out grafting in and
yeah. Or you get, and another thing drug addicts used to get, I never ever done it. They'd get paid their benefits, their ESA, whatever, their PIP, whatever, on a Thursday. But they'd go to you, oh, lend me some money. I get paid Wednesday. Or, oh, let me share the bag with you. I get paid Wednesday. I promise Wednesday. It comes to Wednesday, you go, well, where's the money? Oh, no, I get paid tonight, 12 o'clock at night. And you're like, that's Thursday. They're like, yeah, but I get paid tonight. So you're like, whatever. So it comes to Thursday night and you see them, you go to any fucking city, right, in the UK.
Cash machine.
Yeah, on a
midnight.
Thursday or a Wednesday. Look at the cash machines and it'd be the post office ones. And it'd be a fucking queue, right, where they're all going for their midnight money, yeah, right? But the problem with that is, you get your money at midnight.
It's fucking
You go, you wake up in the morning when you're meant to have your money and it's all gone.
because you've fucking done whatever you've done with
So,
it.
like, it's just fucking mad. But yeah, you're right. Every day was the same. It didn't matter if it was a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday. Every day was the same, you know? And I can't believe I used to have the cheek to think, like, Friday, I'm going to go town. I'm going to, like, as if, like, you know, I've you know, it's just bizarre. But that's what it was. And
That first time, Cole, when you took it.
well, that was it. I went back to the flats and they were all there smoking crack. I've done a documentary on the drugs map of Britain on crack, because it's an epidemic, especially where I'm from, and it always has been. There's a lot of people who smoke crack. It's like the new cocaine. People you would never think in a million years smoke it do, and they were then. And I think
Just gets them hooked like that.
yeah, and I think where I was drinking and taking coke that night, and you know, the months running up to this, where I was very, it was acceptable to me now, not the end of the world. I just thought, yeah, fuck it, let's have a try, and I tried it, and it was amazing. At first, I didn't really know what I was looking for.
The buzz.
Yeah, but it was intense. And then about 5 minutes after using it, I'm starting to fucking dig out. You see, so OCD you know, it's there at the forefront all the time. Cocaine is a stimulant. So it just magnified my feelings. And when I started dipping down off the buzz,
You need a
I just started fucking really pranging out and digging out and thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? They're all trying to kill me, you know, looking through the curtains and all that. And someone in there must have noticed I was feeling that way. And he went, you are? Have a puff of this. And it was a spliff. And I said, fuck off, that made me even worse. Like, because at the time I weren't smoking weed. And he went, no, trust me, it's gear, which is heroin. He said, it's laced with a bit of heroin. It'll take away how you're feeling. It'll just take it all away. And he could, by the face I was pulling, he then repeated, or, you know, replied,
you won't get addicted.
You won't get addicted, bro. I promise. You're going to smoke it every day for a week. And you're not injecting it or smoking it on foil. You're having a bit in a spliff. And that was it. I think because I was so, at the time, like that, fucking hell, you could have given me a cock if they said it would have fucking saved me. I would have grabbed it. So, yeah, I just took it. And as intense as the crack was, the heroin was 10 times. But this time, instead of getting that,
What was the buzz?
that
Cullan?
scare, look, there's loads of ways people have tried to describe heroin.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard people describe it as like drinking whiskey and sitting in a hot bath on a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The song
I
Comfortably
do
Numb,
get that.
that comes to like...
That is it, mate. It is comfortably numb, you know. So there was two parts of it. There was the part of where all my fucking OCD, it was all gone. You know, just so content, yeah. And then there was the part of my physical feeling. I felt invincible. I felt like, not like I could take on the fucking world. I'm a machine. Just,
But you felt
like if someone comes through the door now with a shotgun and says, I'd say, all right, mate.
you couldn't give a fuck.
No. I could have a mankini on from Re-Inspire, my sponsors. Big up to them. I could have a mankini on, and you could drop me off down the Antarctica for a week, and I'd feel like I'd survive it. I'd survive it in a mankini.
You were just at that level of
just warmth, that blanket of just. Yeah. It's like, remember on Sonic? Remember Sonic when you jump on the box and you get the shield?
Yeah.
It was just
like a fucking what's the name round you?
Yeah.
Invincible.
Yeah.
So from there, Cole, you know, it's from that day, did it just take over? Did it start getting to fucking...
Yeah. So...
The lengths, what was the lengths that you were going to, mate?
Yeah, so... It didn't physically grab me, but mentally, I was like, I know I'm going to do that again. Like, I know I am.
Really?
Yeah. Because, you know... You see on films, like, don't you, like when, like, I don't know, they go through an explosion and they look and they're like, I still got my hands. You know, that's what I was like in the morning after it. I was like, I'm not clucking.
Could you remember what you'd, like, obviously done? Like,
oh, well, I was really worried when I got home at first, thinking, fuck, I'm a heroin addict. I'm a junkie. Are my mum and dad going to see from my eyes that I've used heroin? It was all these things.
Paro to death, yeah.
Paro, yeah. But it wasn't a paranoia of, like, that was making me paranoid. It was just, like, after I smoked it, I was like, fuck. Am I a heroin addict? Like, are my lungs going to just now, like, you know, it was just mad. But quickly that went away, you know, and, you know, you start to crave it again, like, and you start to think about it again, like, and you're like, oh, do you know what?
I'll go and get some.
I think just one. And then you're asking inquisitive questions to people like my uncle and that. So how long did it take you to get addicted? And, you know, how do you know if you're addicted?
Did he know you'd had to go with it?
So he didn't know the first time. When he did come to find out, he made out like, he always used to say, if I see anyone
saving you,
I will fuck them up, yeah? But he'd happily smoke it in front of me and like blow it in my face and shit like that. I think, this isn't him on purpose, I just think that he said that because he thought if anyone's going to get you these drugs, it's going to be me. And at least when you're with your Uncle Anthony, you know, I can look after you. you know.
But there's a fucking method behind the madness, though,
yeah,
isn't there?
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Because I remember that, like, so yeah, like, I still stuck by him. I was always there, but this time, because I've tried it now, I'm just like sitting. There was times I'd be sat on the sofa and I'd be itching, just like, I just want to fucking give me a line, but I couldn't tell him because he'd either fuck me up or there was people in the room who would like, be like, what are you doing? Don't give your nephew any. And there was a couple of times like they'd leave the room or they'd throw the foil out,
and you go and get it.
I'd go and get in the bin and try and suck off any of the remnants and all that. Yeah. There's nothing on there, but like just, you know, and the smell. They say it's a horrible smell. I loved the smell. I don't know why.
Yeah, mad.
I loved it. That fishy, horrible, metal-y smell. I loved it because I think it's just the feeling. The feeling was that strong from when I had it that first time.
It always stayed with you.
Yeah. So then I remember, so all the dealers who were around, who I knew about, were the ones my uncle got on. So they were like, nah, I ain't serving you, mate. I can't serve you.
Because your auntie will fill us in. Yeah.
So I remember getting this one guy to serve for me. And the one time, he found out. And they fucked him up. And the guy was only a fucking... You know, when you look at a bag of bones guy, lovely guy, had no one.
He was helping you out.
From the valleys, lived in Cardiff, little dumb taffy.
Oh.
You know, and your fucking uncle are killing me, Carl. You can't tell him that you're killing me, all this shit and all that. Well, we were there smoking in there and I could hear, yo! And I looked up and it's him and he's fucking big. Scars on him, eyes bulging, get down fucking you now, like that. He's like, fucking hell, Carl, what are you doing? You know, he's all panicking. I went, don't worry, he's not going to fucking hit you. I promise. Opens the door, comes in like that. There's an umbrella in the doorway. This guy's umbrella. He fucking grabs the umbrella and just fucking...
Filled him, battered him with it.
You know, an umbrella's quite light, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
but the
he still battered him with it, mate. Like, he was horrible. Like, yeah, at the end, like stabbing him in the head with it and all that, but was whacking fuck out of him across his head, kicking him, and I was just like, I caused that. I felt. So I ended up going back to the flat with my uncle, and he's raging. What the fuck? I told you. If I ever seen you with that. Half hour later, got any money? What for?
Yeah.
Well, you've had some, haven't you?
Go and score.
Well, you've had some now, haven't you? You might as well just go and get some more. So then it went from like, it was accepted with him then. And, you know, there was times I'd be there and he'd be there with his mother. He'd been, listen, you ain't having them now. So-and-so's coming round. Because, you know, even though the other ones were fucking addicts and he didn't really care, he didn't want those thinking that he's like smoking heroin around his nephew.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they went from like something that was once a month to fortnightly to weekly
to every day,
and then to every day. Yeah,
you know, the amount of money that you've spent.
Yeah,
you know, I know there's what's name quotes out there saying it was fucking a lot more than what I see. You know, what I've heard. You know, I think that Bible was saying 70. It's fucking a lot more than that.
Oh, it was a lot more. Yeah, I remember Billy Moore rang me up and said that. He went, "Was that it?" I went, "You taking a piss?" He went, "No, I know what I'm saying. Like, it's fucking. They've obviously." I said, "No, they have, mate." And there's
when you've been in addiction, I think addicts who know that's.
But people who like, and right, please, I'm not trying to. I don't expect you to know. But you know those people who don't use drugs, you go, as if you use that much. You was a drug. And you're like, you haven't got a clue, mate, the lengths we go to
get
and you haven't
to get that fix, to get that hit.
And it ain't just one hit. I want fucking 10 hits a day. Yeah.
Because it doesn't last long, does it?
You know what I mean? No, and I was a gannet. Some people would just get by. Like my dad said, you're a fucking gannet. He said, you know what, fair enough if it was just one to get by. I'd fucking give you the 20 quid. But you want it, and then you want to go back out and get more and more and more. So fuck off.
You're being greedy.
I was greedy. But the lengths I'd go to, the money I made, the things I stolen and sold for pennies, you know, we'll get onto it, but like the shoplifting, like speaking to my old man and other people, I think it was a lot more than what there's a Sun article saying 3 million, and people are like, fuck off, fuck. I think it was more. And what they don't realize is that's retail price. I you know,
You were selling it for
in terms of retail, I fucking made millions. I stole millions. In terms of what I made, I'd be lucky if I
that was
made
the height
million.
of like your addiction. You were just banging it every day, just.
Yeah, and the first, I put it into two categories really, because it was two totally different times of my addiction. First 5 years and the second 5 years. The first 5 years, you know, I was like getting to know what the drug is, what things mean, you know, feeling what a cluck's like, you know, don't know how to really graft.
What is clucking, Cole? If people who don't know what clucking is,
So clucking is withdrawing, basically, detoxing. But it's it's mainly a form of withdrawing that isn't willingly a detox. So it's like, I'm fucking clucking, I need another bag, rather than I'm detoxing, I don't want to take it
rattling
again.
is it or is that
Rattling, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like detoxing and going cold turkey are different to clucking and rattling. So clucking and rattling is they're the same things. You're withdrawing from heroin, but when you're clucking or I'm rattling, I want to go and get another bag to make me feel better.
But
when I want to go cold turkey or I want to detox, I'm trying to get away from it.
Yeah. Fucking hell, mate. But you're saying you're shoplifting. I want to, so to university blag, that was a fucking another one, mate.
Yeah, how do you know about that?
Listen, mate.
How do you know about that? I must have told you.
No, you never. I've done my research.
Mate. So like, I must have said this somewhere. So yeah, that
You're
first
doing
5
everything
years,
to get it.
I've ran out. So I've ran out of options. You know, everyone knows I'm an addict now. Mum and dad, devastated. You know, friends, you know, acquaintances, groups. I'm stigmatized. I am.
Cullen, it doesn't fucking matter because you're in that zone.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah. So, you know, after running out of options who to borrow money off, running out of options who to blag.
the blags,
The blags are gone. Now it's got to fucking bumping.
Yeah.
I'm bumping. So it's, you know, when you get to that stage, you don't care about your bridges being burnt.
Because
all you're
you
thinking.
asked.
I used to think like, who were my mates in school? Fucking Sam. I'll try and see what I can get off him.
Facebook or something, or whatever.
Yeah. We used to get on. Fuck, I'm going to give him a message. And it went from, you know, it could have been anything from, can you lend me? Or, do you want any weed? Or do you want any this? Or do you want any that? And just bump them with like cling film or foil wrap. Tissue in the middle, like, you know. Done every blag you could think of, right? Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I went, you know, with those early days, like, you know, I had some nice clobber. My mum and dad used to look after me as well. Always had nice
Smart
clobber.
and that.
So I went through the stage of, you know, going into shops. Before I shoplifted, I'd go into shops, I'd get tags of what I'm wearing, stick a tag on my clothes and go and sell them, you know. Before there was vintage shops and I was selling them to people as if they were real, brand new, you know, and you smell the pearl on them and all that, you know, all that shit, like. But my proper blag came. I was in town one day, and I asked someone, I needed to get like a $5 or something. I was like a $5 short, and I asked someone if they could help me. I'm trying to get back home to Fairwater, try to get on the bus. Can you help me? I need £3. And someone gave me a $5 straight away. First, and it's probably like gambling. You know, like gambling, they say, you know, the first time you gamble, you'll win.
Yeah.
You know, and they get you in, like, you know. You know, it was like that. It's like, fucking hell, that was easy. Now, everything I've done, I've tried to justify and deny, and be in denial. So my first kind of justification was, I could do this, but I'm not begging. I'm not sat on the streets with a cup so you could have some spare change.
Yeah.
I'm playing a character. I'm speaking to people, and I'm going to blag them.
That I need to get home.
And if they want to give me money, they can. But I'm not a beggar. I'm not saying, I'm not begging.
Convincing you,
Yeah. And I was good. Like, I could tell you. I still get people now come up to me and say, fucking Cullan, mate, I seen you in town the one day. How that person gave you 50 fucking quid, I don't know. But I seen it, you know? They were like, people come and say, I seen you the other day in town. You had an American accent. Because I would come up with these accents and all that. Hey there, I don't know if you can help me, but I'm trying to get home to my uni halls and all this shit. Like, yeah. So, there's only so much you can do. And I remember. So, the first kind of red flag there was, I must have asked someone, right? I goes home. My mum and dad, they know I'm addicted by now. They're trying to help
How are
me.
they dealing with it, Cole?
Devastated, really.
You'd have like, come on, Cullan, get your shit together.
Yeah,
your mum's
embarrassed.
fucking in bits and stuff, and
They tried everything for me. They tried. You go into your nans, and I'll get to all this. I'll get to all that in a minute. Let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
I goes home. What the fuck is this? What are you on about? No, I'm not on social media. I don't have it anymore. The only time I have Facebook is if I'm in a library. If I go to a library, I'll sign in on my Facebook, or if I'm at home and I use the laptop. I don't have a phone. I'm not a smartphone guy because I'm going to sell it in cash generator, or I'm going to lose it. So you get these pages, don't you? Runcorn spotted, or we had Cardiff spotted.
Oh, you're fucking.
So some little fucker who I went to fucking school with has fucking slyly recorded me doing my blag and said, look, there's Cullan. Watch out, Cullan Mais is in town asking people for money. That was the first one.
Did it go viral? Did it go, obviously...
It went fucking Cardiff viral, put it that way.
Yeah.
But, as well, Cardiff's a capital city, it's busy, I went around some other spots, but I still went back there, right, to that area. So I thought I got to up my game a bit here. I got to and I'm really good with faces as well.
So you wouldn't ask the same person or whatever?
I'm shit with names, good with faces, but I did still sometimes ask to say, there was like one or two say, I gave you a $5 yesterday.
Fuck off.
Yeah. But I'm just in that much like addiction now, and I'm obsessed with it now. Like anything I
was
get
you earning
involved
decent dough off it as well?
I'll tell you now in a minute, right? I'm so obsessed with it, right? Same as anything I love this now. I got with this girl and like she was coming with me now doing it, right? Well, anyway, an article came out. Beware, Cardiff City Centre, well-dressed and well-spoken man and female asking people for money. And then it was a quote. He asked me 4 times in 2 weeks or something. Honestly, yeah, right? So I was like, they're onto me. They are onto me, right?
Yeah.
Now, height had a threat in Britain at the time as well. It's like 2014, whatever. Loads of transport police in the centre. And like, I wouldn't go too far to, like, you had the bus station, which is now BBC, and then you had the train station right next to each other. And the bus station had all these like different shelters so you could get away and all that.
So
if the police came. Yeah. But I'd like teed it up to the train station was the gold mine because that's where all the people are. Like, do you know what I mean? So, like the bus station are just jippos from Cardiff. I'm only joking. They're just locals, yeah, right. And I'm probably more likely to see people I know. And the bus ticket's going to be cheaper if I can get to the train station where people are coming from London, Liverpool, whatever. They've got the dough. They're getting long train fares, and I can blag my train fare.
It costs more.
Sky's the limit. I'm going to Scotland. Like when if I do the bus stop, when I'm only going as far as fucking
£1 or a couple of pounds.
Yeah. So I tee it over and the police would be there, right? And then I'd have to get back and run back over because on the tannoy, they probably said there's a guy asking, So that was, and I'll tell you about that now in a minute, which you'll laugh. So the police, they knew me. They knew who I was. They were onto me. There was also a time, so I then go to like Catay's train station then where there were students, and I, made it. So when I started, like I was making like £50 scoring, coming back, £50 scoring, coming back. But at my height of doing this, and this was pretty quickly, and I would make sure, I'm not the type, I'm a gannet, but I'm not a daytime smoker. So crack and heroin was what I'm addicted to. Most addicts, they'll get a tenner and they'll smoke crack and then they'll, but I would make sure I had my heroin in the morning, right? Then I'd go out and graft all day. I wouldn't score at all. And then when I've got all my money, I'll go and buy everything and go home and party with crack and heroin, yeah?
In the night.
Yeah, so I made sure that, you know, I had pockets and bags full of pound coins and notes, yeah, where I'd go and change. So I was making 200 quid a night. Some nights I was making 500 if it was an international day. All right?
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, at night. It got to a stage where people thought it was a trap house on the back of the city centre, yeah, right? I'd go out, I'd do it. Say like I finished at like 11 o'clock. I've smoked all my things. And it's like 12 o'clock and I'm like, I ain't even done. I'd go back out for an hour. I'd come back with 150 quid. A lot of the smokers, right, thought I was an escort. They thought I was selling my ass because it was impossible that I
Rent
made
boy,
that
did you
much
think you were a
money.
rent boy?
They thought I was a rent boy because I was making so much money and they were jealous. I wasn't. I could, you know, I don't have to prove it.
Yeah,
right?
no,
I
yeah.
wasn't. I was blagging. So there was times where like girls would say like, "Oh, I tell you what, come and stay over my house instead. Like stay overnight, and I'll get you a taxi tomorrow or something." And I'd go there, I'd shag them, and then I'd empty their phones in their purse, and I'd run away. I got caught twice doing that and bit me on the ass. One time was a Chinese exchange student. There's 2 Chinese exchange students actually.
Fucking, it wasn't the same one, was
No,
it?
no. First one, she went, "Do you want to go for coffee tomorrow?" And I went, "Yeah." I made sure I went and met her with a coffee. I had a coffee. I said, "Can I use your phone?" And I done a runner.
You dusted
I
with it.
dusted with the phone. I was with a girl at the time as well. Transport police come to my house. She's like, "What the fuck? A girl phone? What the fuck? You playing her?" I went, "Listen, I blagged it. Boom, boom, boom." Yeah. Got caught. Those were the same transport police who were on me for the tapping. Yeah. But didn't tie them two together just yet. But you're going to love this story. So then another time there was a girl. I slept with a girl. Yeah. Took her phone. My mate was like, "She's got the new fucking whatever it was." Straight down cash, Jen sold it. She went to the police, said I raped her. Yeah. Because I stole her phone. Yeah. NFA. So the girl, my mate,
heavy.
yeah, but this is the life you live. This is what happens when you're
Yeah.
involved in that shit. So basically what happened was my mate met her at the crisis loan queue. Remember crisis loans?
Crisis loans, yeah.
She had the crisis loan queue.
What's it for? And it was fucking some bullshit.
I was with my baby mother at the time in the flats, and he lived on the back. Rondo, his name was. He calls me up because he knew I was a dirtbag, like, and I'd shag anything. He went, "Yo, Cullan," he said, "You should see the girl who we had back here last night." She said, "She's still here." I said, "Where'd you meet her?" He went, "Up the crisis loan queue." I was like, "Oh, I'll be there now."
Why would you shag a broken window? Was it?
Oh,
Was you
me and the boys had this thing, stinking linking.
oh.
We were just stinking linkers, like, do you know what I mean?
But like you say, you're in that circle and you just don't give a fucking shit.
Yeah. And she stayed another night. Well, anyway, it happened. We finds out when I goes to the police station. They went, "Look, we know you got a missus. You're a good-looking lad. It looks like you're going off the wrong road. But what the fuck, mate?" Told them my situation. They were swabbing me and her. You know, I've been accused now of rape.
Heavy
And
charge.
they're swabbing me, and I'm going, "Why are you swabbing me? I did shag her. I did. Like, you don't have to swab me. I'm telling you, I shagged her. Like, but I didn't rape her."
It's consensual and all.
Yeah,
that,
yeah. So they went, "Look, we're gonna go NFA because this girl got history. She's actually living in like a hostel refuge thing in Cardiff." She said she's done it before. She said another red flag was when we asked her how she got to the police station. She said the councilmen who were working in the block of flats she stayed offered to take her down, and she came down with the councilmen, strangers. Which, if you just got raped, you ain't going with
trust
random
no one,
strangers.
no,
Yeah, it was a lesson learned. Put it that way. Yeah. So you know, all that happened. You know, and then I'd go to like the Uni South Wales in Treforest. I'd go to Bath. There was a stage where I almost had blagged my dad to take me to Trafalgar Square to do it for a couple of days because I was making so much money and I was really good at it. One of the ones that really upsets me is I was at Uni South Wales one day and I asked, and my mate Sam was there and he couldn't believe his eyes, but I got 20 quid off this Chinese exchange student. She went, "Can I have your number?" I said, "I don't have a number, but I'll take yours." I said, I do have a number, but I've left it in the uni halls with everything else, hence why I'm stuck here. Got 20 quid. 2-3 days later, I went up there again. I always made sure that I changed my clothes. You know, the reason I'd done so well is because I didn't look like an addict. And some people say now, I can't believe how good you look.
Yeah, yeah.
Because my teeth, my dad used to say, you carry on your speech, your teeth, it's all going. You can look at some of the photos and I am fucked. But at those stages, I was still not looking like an addict. I goes up there 3 days later, but I didn't think I'm wearing the same outfit I did 3 days prior, even though I've switched since. 2 days later, sorry, I tell a lie. Anyway, I'm doing my money thing now, and he's come up with me this time. All I is, hey, come back. I looks like that. It's the Chinese girl from the other day.
20 quid.
You cheat me. You said you call me. You say you give money back. I went, oh my God. I said, you're not going to believe it. I said, I still haven't been home. I said, look, I'm in the same clothes. I said, I've been staying in that fucking bus stop for the last 3 days. I can't believe it. She looked at me as if like, why? She went, you cheat. I went, listen, look, I haven't left. Look, I'm stinking. Look, I said, I haven't gone home. I said, I was willing to give you the money back. She went,
Don't tell me.
She said, if I give you 50 quid, will you go back and give me 70 quid? I went, of course I will.
Oh, she gave you another 50 nigga.
She wasn't going to give me 50 quid. She went, I only have 50s. I went, if I give you 50 quid, will you come back give me 70? I went, of course I will, love.
That was
I
just
took
music
it
to
and
your ears and later.
Sam was like, I can't believe this just happened. Like, but it was just mad things like that. And yeah. And you know what? My uncle as well, during them times, used to say, when I started to shoplift, he was like, what are you doing? He said, you have got a wicked blag there. You're smashing it. You're never getting caught. If you do get caught, you're not going to jail for blagging. Like, surely.
Yeah.
You know, he said, what are you doing?
But shoplifting is a different fucking charge, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, and that's what happened. But quick, let me go to this bit about the transport, please. So they didn't ever get me, right? But they knew who I was.
You were on the radar.
They knew who I was. Face. They probably knew my name. In 2015, it was the crossover between blagging for money and shoplifting. And it was when I met my missus, because that's when the article came out. Yeah. And I met her, and that's how I started shoplifting. So I started shoplifting. Started to find I was quite good at it. I goes to jail.
Yeah.
All right? I couldn't believe I went to jail. If you want to talk about that first, we can. Then I'll go back to the
jail.
place.
What was jail like for you? Obviously, being an addict, it must, you know.
I had my 9 lives. I had my
More than 9 lives.
Yeah, community service, tag, probation, drug and alcohol orders, done them all. I never ever thought that I would go to jail. I believed in myself. There is no way
he's gonna send me
to jail for shoplifting, for my drug addiction. Like, I thought I was a victim. Well, I was a victim. But again, justification, same as I was with the tapping and, you know, everything else. It's, I'm not robbing anyone. I could easily sell drugs. I could easily rob people. I could easily burgle houses. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm shoplifting from big corporate businesses. It's a victimless crime.
That's how you looked at it. Like.
That's how I looked at it. So I had my 9 lives. I guess caught. I goes to jail. Now, I knew I was wanted. So I was on a 90ml methadone script, which is heavy for those who know. I was the type of guy, I just wanted to be on anything that was a free buzz. I had a double habit. I was feeding heroin addiction and methadone. So my habit was through the roof. When you miss 3 days methadone in the community, in Wales, probably in England as well, they kick you off your script because you can't just go back after 3 days because of your tolerance and stuff. They have to start you all over again.
Yeah.
So I'm on the run. Police are going to DRR where I get my methadone.
Waiting for you outside and all that, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to go there then, am I? So I missed my 3 days, which meant I had to smoke even more heroin, offend more, and go even more down to subside my
Back into
methadone
that big
addiction as
hole.
well. I eventually get caught. I didn't know any of this at the time. I thought, yeah, okay, I'll go to jail, go back on my methadone. wasn't the case.
The milli, it's less, isn't it?
Well, because I missed the 3 days, they were like, no, you can't.
Start again.
Yeah, now it's changed, but then it was like that. I remember the first thing that was on the TV the first day I was there. I went in on a Friday night, late night. I was arm and a leg going in. I was fucked. I remember.
Do you mean arm and leg
By the people who worked on induction, the workers, the gym, the inmates.
Why'd you go in kicking and screaming?
No, I was paralysed.
Fucked.
I was fucked. I remember I was in the police cells. They wanted me to go in. It was a Thursday. No, was it a Thursday? It might have even been a Wednesday night. Because basically what happened was, right, they had me in there, and obviously you go to court the next morning, yeah? I was that fucked. They kept me in the cells for another 2 days. I went to Friday courts because I just couldn't move out of the cells. I remember the lights flickering. I remember my rattle started to come on in the post. I remember I started getting the cold shivers, yawning. My eyes started to tear, and I could feel my stomach bubbling. This is in the night. I've been arrested. I'm there for about 5 hours. I can feel it bubbling, right? And when it bubbles, I say, you're done, mate. People are different, but me, as soon as I start, I can't stop. And it came out, yeah, right? I spewed. I couldn't get out. I was that fucked off the bed. I spewed. I had a big blanket over me where I'm cold, sweat.
Yeah.
I spews everywhere, yeah? I can't even be bothered to get up onto the toilet. It's just bile. Pure, luminous, yellow, mustardy bile, all right? The same time that I spew, right, the shit that has been in my stomach for about a month.
You pass it as well?
Well, because you're constipated, yeah? With opiates, you get constipated. I remember, say, you wake up in the morning. I always made sure I had a boot in the morning. But say, for example, you're clucking, you're about to go and score. You've been grafting all day. You need a boot. You need a shit badly. And you should have a shit. But if you quickly go and get your gear, what a lot of people do is just smoke the heroin so it goes away. But then you're just blocking up anything you are
building up.
So when you have that shit, they're normally rock hard. So I spews up. The same time my bowels have pushed that out, right? I felt like, right, obviously it's going up the other way, but it felt like someone had stuck a baseball bat at my ass, right? The fucking shit that came out, right? I could feel it, right? And it came out whilst I'm under the blanket, right? And I could feel it going from hard to soft. Where it's been I know this is horrible to speak. I know it
sounds a bit like, yeah.
About that much there is rock hard, just big stones, different shits that have been collected for fucking weeks. And then after that, it's whatever's there now, yeah, right? As soon as that came out, it just opened the floodgates because every other shit I had was just like water. I had no shame. I had no urgency to get up out of the bed, to even race to the toilet. I stayed there, right, for fucking over 24 hours.
Someone coming in?
Constantly shitting, constantly spewing. The people only came, right, the staff, let's say, because they're not police officers who work in the cells. Yeah. A lot of them are like G4S. It was in the New Cardiff Bay police station, and the cells, they had a slight incline on them. And the only reason that they came in to check on me was because the bile had ran into the fucking...
Into the drains or something, or was it all outside under the door?
Yeah, into the corridor where all the... So they're walking, putting people in cells. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Mate, I remember then, and the next day, it was a Thursday then, must have been, one of them came in, and one of the staff was someone I used to play baseball with. A mate of mine who I played baseball with. And I'm there, shit the bed, shit spewed everywhere, clucking, and he's working there. And it was just it was a big reality check.
Cullan, what's going on, mate? Fucking hell.
Yeah. He helped me get into the showers in there. my mum and dad had brought stuff down, but I had no contact with them. It was the first time I ever been locked away, really. I was crying. I was sad. I was like, I'm never going to do this again. I've learned my fucking lesson. Then I go to court on the Friday. I'm still fucked. I'm still spewing. It was just horrific. What people got to realize is a heroin detox is hell. Okay, now an alcohol one you can die from. They say you can't die from a heroin one because of the fits with alcohol, but the heroin one,
you feel like you're dying.
yeah, I wish it on my worst enemy. They last for anything from 2 to 4 weeks. A methadone withdrawal lasts months. It's in your bones.
Aching and the pain and just
the same thing, but just longer. I had the 2 of them. All right. So they give me, I think I'm getting out again, don't I?
and it's when he's just hit that hammer.
He give me 12 months for shoplifting. 12 months.
Yeah, that's
A lot of people get shoplifting 4 weeks, 2 weeks. They're not even sending people to jail now for underneath £200. I had 12 months. I had a suspended sentence over my head because of one of the opportunities I had. I think it was about 8 months due for. But now I've been given 12 months. And I remember just thinking, what the fuck? First time I went into jail, everything was foreign to me. And it was like it was stuck in a time capsule. The smell, the colours, the posters that have been there since the 90s, the fucking... it was just fucking...
A shithole.
Shithole, mate, right? The food... So I remember getting up, I got into this cell on induction wing, and the craze was on. The ones with the Kemp brothers.
The Kemp brothers,
Wicked film. And I thought, fuck, and I couldn't sleep. I was out of it, and I watched bits of it, and I was clucking. In the morning, I hear clap on the door like that, right? And like, one thing that I tried to do when rattling was get fluids in me. Couldn't eat.
Keep nothing. Yeah.
And I said, what's that? I was in with this Taffy. I've come to know this Taffy quite a lot. I actually interviewed him on my podcast, and he's actually homeless on the streets now, which is really sad. But at the time, he was a big boy, and he was in for something else. I went, what was that noise? He went, that's the fucking Milk Boy cereal in the morning. Like, all this mad Taffy. I was like, oh, buzzing. I was like, my mouth was really dry in her. And like, I love milk.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm just going to cane this off now, mate. Like, so I was out, my eyes weren't even open. I was out of it. And I said, open it up for me. And he ripped it open for me, those little cartons. I started necking it. I went, spat. I said, what the fuck is that? He went, welcome to jail, boy. I was like, what the fuck? Is this a joke? I went, what was that? He went, it's UHT milk, innit? It's that fucking, it tasted like fucking, goat's piss or something. I don't, mate, it was the most rancid. I'm bearing in mind, you get used to it. My taste buds are foreign at this point, first time ever. And it was a real, like, welcome to, like, nothing's okay in here. Nothing's normal. Like, even the fucking milk is shit, like, and...
UHT milk.
I stayed on that prison sentence for... in Cardiff, I was there for 2 weeks. They shipped me over to so this is it. You're not getting on your meth. I said, what do you mean I'm not going on my meth? I'm a fucking heroin. You're not going on your meth. I said, go and ring them up. So, they're coming back and forth, and I'm like, I'm going to get it. Ends up, I'm not getting it, yeah? But they still stuck me on the drug detox wing. Now, what you got to realise is...
There's people around you.
There's people around you on methadone, Subutex off their face, just living their life. They're happy, in terms of... They're not happy, but they're
getting what they need.
They're physically okay. And I'm watching them. I said, this ain't right. This is fucking torture. I must have went through 3 or 4 pad mates who couldn't fucking handle it. The spewing, the retching.
Oh, yeah.
If I was someone who'd done something wrong or had trouble in jail and you go in clucking, you're in a very vulnerable fucking position, mate. Anyone can come in and fucking do you on association in the mornings. Your door's just left open. My door was just left open. I was just still in bed, like.
Yeah.
I had a few people come into me, Macy, because of my surname. So I was looked after quite a bit because of my uncle. Went over to F Wing. started seeing people I knew from the outside. I got two that my mate, Khalid Topper. And I thought, you know what? We had like 1 or 2 good heart-to-hearts in the night. Hadn't seen each other for ages. I thought, you know what? I could do this. I could fucking do this. Down the end of the wing was Sadiq, one of the boys. He came in fat, had Sebbies and Tramadol, so I was all right getting through it a bit, like, you know. But I was still clucking. Anyway, I guess I slipped through the door. You fit the criteria of an overcrowded prisoner, HMP Birmingham. I was like, what? Birmingham?
Getting shipped out to, that's not what you were saying?
So I'm speaking to people who were like, you know, quite like jail heads, who were staunch.
It's a naughty jail, that is.
I'm going to Birmingham. They went, bro. And I'm thinking, mate, if these hardened criminals are saying it's fucking terrible, what am I going in for?
What chances have I got?
Yeah, and it was Winson Green. Yeah, it was called Winson Green. They changed it to HMP Birmingham because of the riots that was there. Remember the riots? When they took all the keys and that? So yeah, I goes there. I guess in the meat wagon, he goes, listen, you know, because you're here in an English jail, you know they'll give you methadone. This just shows the power of addiction. I was 3 weeks into my rattle in jail, and as soon as I got to Winson Green, I took the opportunity straight away to go on the methadone.
Snatched their hands off.
I was 3 weeks into my rattle. Another 2 weeks, I was through it. And then from then,
It was back at it.
well, I was on induction, and when I go, Mace, B wing, drug wing, this fucking gangster Birmingham geezer went, fuck going on that B wing. Well, that's the worst wing in the jail. So I thought, here's me going on the methadone wing. I'll be all right with the vulnerable fucking drug users. I'll look after myself.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be the worst fucking wing there. It was mad, mate. It was 4 people took their own lives on that wing whilst I was there. And then from then I got shipped to Stoke Heath, which is in Shropshire, which is like a melting pot of Scousers, Manx, everything. But it was good up there. I had it okay up there. I got used to it. Spent the rest of my time on methadone. Didn't have an exit plan of how I was going to get clean when I get out, because I'm back on methadone. But I thought, I'm never going back to jail again. I came out. My missus booked the Vale Hotel for me. We went to JD Sports, bought an outfit at a McDonald's. As we're driving to the hotel, I went, stop at Bigsy's. She looked at me like that and went, she knew what Bigsy's meant.
Slang for fucking...
When he went and scored, he was a guy who smoked.
Yeah.
I said, just one more time. The whole night in the hotel, she's expecting for me to get it on and spend time, and I'm getting here to put socks on the fucking alarms and watch through the curtains as I'm smoking crack and heroin. And from then I went back to it, you know. I had every intention to get out and really, you know, I didn't want to go back to jail. I hated it. I had every intention to go and sort my life out, right?
Try and get your life back together. And
you actually, because I think, look, I got arrested by the police, so I didn't say goodbye properly to the heroin. We didn't have that one last dance. I'm going to have one smoke when I get out, and that's it then. It don't work.
It doesn't
like
work
that.
like that, no.
So yeah, I went from then, you know, and then what happened was I got out of that prison sentence. I was a fan of a TV show called The School of Hard Knocks. Okay. It's a rugby program where they speak to ex-inmates, unemployed people from, you know, poverty backgrounds.
Different backgrounds.
Yeah,
and
trying to get them to play rugby, and at the end give them a job at the jobs fair. I was a big fan of it. I watched the London one, the Liverpool one, the Glasgow, the Birmingham. They goes to me, do you want to go on this show, the school? I went, fucking yeah, well, I'm a fucking big fan of it. Probation and the job centre said it. So I went on the show. You can still watch it now on Vimeo and Sky, whatever. I done really well on it. We were the first School of Hard Knocks team to be unbeaten. So that was a proud thing for the Welsh. And at the end of it, I went to a jobs fair and I got a job.
what was it?
Arriva Trains. I was in the trains on the ticket barriers where those transport police were.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Did you go?
I had the job, man.
But you
So
then,
this
but you
is-
then plod with like the police were like that looking, thinking that fucking.
Well, that's what it was. It was only a couple months before they were looking for me, and I remember going here the first day, and they looked at me, and the one guy, when he went, "How the fuck have you got this job?" I went,
But to
They
do
went,
that
"You're
and
a
turn your
cunt."
life around, mate, it's like, you know, is that where it got to a point where you're thinking, I want to turn my life around, or was it just fun?
Well, no, it was the start of a fucking even more, you know. But you know, I genuinely thought, like, you know, every time I have tried, you know, I intentionally, I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to be on drugs. I want to be successful.
It was just addiction.
You know, and every time my mum and dad took me to my, you know, wherever I went to get clean, I was doing it for them, not for me. You know, I
you
wanted
got to do it for yourself, Cole. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that job with the Riva trains, someone left a bag near the barriers.
Oh, fucking hell.
They give you a float, they do, because you're on the tickets, on the barriers. I had a £50 float. But I was also working a month in hand with a raging habit. So on my dinner break, I went straight down the docks, 3 for 50. Cullen, on the barriers. I went, I ain't got my float. They went, how have you not got your float? You was giving it this morning. I went, it's fucking gone. It's disappeared. It's fucking disappeared. Did they think I used it or not? I don't know, but they gave me another one until I have to pay it out of my wages. But then, yeah, I worked there for about 3-4 months. Ticket barriers. Someone left a bag there. I thought, you know what? Check what's in there. There was a tablet and a Welsh rugby jersey for the World Cup that was just happening. I thought I could sell that, fucking hell. You know? I thought what I'll do is I'll put this behind the barriers. If anyone comes for it, I'm a hero. Here it is. If no one does, I'm going home with it. Simple as, right? So I goes on my break. I puts my high vis and my jacket over the bag and fucks off to Burger King. Comes back half hour later. There's all fucking staff managers and this fucking weasel who worked there standing around by the barriers. What's this, Cole? I went, oh, it's a bag someone left here. What's it doing here? I went, well, I thought I'd leave it here because if the guy come back,
I can say, yeah, they give him back to the...
Yeah. He said, well, it's been on the tannoy for the last half hour saying, has anyone found the bag? Well, why? I said, well, I've been on
my break.
For the last 20 minutes. I said, well, yeah, I've been on my break for a half hour, so I'm 10 minutes out. I haven't heard it. I would have given it straight back. No. Can't be having this. Again, it was a high tether threat. I should have been handing the bag rather than being
thought it could have been something else, yeah.
They fucking knew I tried stealing and they just used that as an excuse. They went, right, listen, we'll have to see what happens. Goes home, goes to work the next day. Can you go see the station manager? Bam, you're suspended with pay. Now, this is one of those moments in my addiction. This is what happens with addiction and the situations you put yourself in and the way you barefaced lie. My mum and dad were so proud. My mum and dad tried to talk me not to go on that program because they knew how ill I was on the drugs. But they were surprised that I stuck at it and I give it my all. And I was one of the main characters on the show. Like, they followed me around. Everyone loved it. But they were just waiting for that moment because they knew I was still using. They were waiting for the moment that I'd fuck up. So they were buzzing that I got that job with the Riva trains, you know?
Mm-hmm.
My dad would take me to work for a whole month. I'd have to get up every morning, iron my shirt, put my uniform on, and let my dad take me to work, knowing full well I'm sacked, I'm suspended, and I couldn't tell him.
Was you blagging it? Was you like...
There was one time that my dad, I don't know if he done it just because it was just what he wanted to do or he had an inkling, but he dropped me right outside the station and waited for me to walk into the fucking
hell, Cole.
And I turned around and went, all right, ta-ra. And he went, no, go on, mate.
So he's definitely fucking...
I walked in there, and as I walked in there, the station manager who told me to go home was looking at me like that.
What are you doing here?
In my full Arriva kit. But here's the thing. Again, decoy. At that time when I was suspended, I thought I could use it to my advantage here because I'll come into town, I'll get a free lift off my dad, even though he thinks I'm going to work. I'm wearing my uniform that he thinks I'm going to work to. I'll use this uniform to blag people for money. So what I used to do was, I would say, I'd do it in the nights, yeah, or I'd do it at a station, like in Cathays, and I go, hey, I don't know if you can help me. I'm trying to get to the next station. They'd be like, you fucking work for the Riva trains. Why can't you get a free train? I said, they don't do that. They don't do that. Or if I do it at like 12 o'clock at night, yeah, right, or 11 o'clock at night, then I go, can any of you help me? Look, I work for the train station. I've missed my last train. So they believed me. So I'd use it as a decoy. Fucking crazy, mate.
Some of the stuff you've done to like for the blags and to get what you need is unbelievable.
Yeah, my dad. I remember the day I came home from the blag, and I just come home to a fucking clap across the head. the letter came through. You've been suspended.
Why have you not fucking told us?
Yeah. I went to the suspension, the thing. They went, look, I believe what you're saying, but on camera,
It doesn't show
look
that.
good. And the woman was crying. She went, please. She said, I watched you on that TV program. You was amazing. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. And yeah, I was last of that, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, from then, my missus, who I was still with at the time, she stuck by me. But that's when I really became a shoplifter.
Mm.
And yeah, I was good at it. You know, I'm not proud of it.
But you had to do what you had to do.
I had to
feed
do what
your
I had to
habit.
do. And people will say, well, you can't be that good. You've been in jail 10 times. I was stealing 365 days of the year. Even the days that I had $1,000 in my pocket left over, I was still
because you were
grafting.
greedy, Cole. Was it?
Because I'm greedy, and it's an addictive personality. I was addicted to shoplifting. I loved it. I still get fucking sweaty palms now. No, I'm serious. I'm serious, Tom. Like, this is a fact of life, mate. It was just something about it, mate. Like, and you know, in my fucked up way, that was my way of traveling around the UK. I'm getting to see places because I want some normality in my life. You
going obviously to different areas. You wasn't doing it in Cardiff, and just because obviously you're known and it's on your doorstep as well.
I'd be lying if I said I never fucking done a steak run or a cheese run from my local co-op. I'd be lying.
Yeah,
but
you can only do so many.
Yeah, and I was gone from that. Like, I got mates who are still doing that. I got mates who the people just go, Sam, please, just go away. And they know that, you know, we got a place, it's called the Ring of Fire, right? It's just on the outskirts of Cardiff. And like, so I would travel the country, and I'll talk a bit about it if you want me to, but it's a mad story.
Yeah.
But we called it the Ring of Fire. And it was called the Ring of Fire because if I woke up late, say like I've been partying all night,
yeah,
and I woke up at like 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I say, should we just do the Ring of Fire? It was because it was close, easy money, but it was a guaranteed comeback off the police.
Yeah, you know you were getting.
It was guaranteed.
You were getting a knock, or you were getting.
So we called it the Ring of Fire because it was like a ring of the areas you'd go around. Easy money in an hour, but you know, in a month, 2 months, or a year, you're getting a comeback.
You're getting a knock,
yeah.
You know. Yeah.
So like, there was those desperate times, but I was the type of shoplifter. I didn't want to run in Rago. You know, I'll break it down like this. Like, I'm filming a documentary right now on it. There's 3 types of shoplifters. There was always 2 types. There was the professional shoplifter who doesn't take drugs and funds his lifestyle,
goods
mortgage,
to order and stuff,
holidays. You know, takes his, you know, he's got his car. I know shoplifters who have never been caught. They don't take drugs, but they're good at their job. Yeah. Then you've got the chaotic drug user who is just getting what he can to get his habit, right? And they will run in and they will run out, leaving a trail of fucking steak. Don't give a fuck who's seen them, and they don't give a fuck if the police come and get him the next day.
Because they just want to get that.
As long as they got that it. I put myself in the middle of that. People used to say to me, Cullan, you'd be a millionaire by now if you didn't take drugs. Well, I wouldn't be, because if I didn't take drugs, I wouldn't have been that shoplifter. I shoplifted because of my habit. It was a chaotic drug use, and there might have been times that I was chaotic, but I was very fucking professional at it. I was very good, very professional at it.
Yeah.
I went out of the country. I wouldn't leave until I had a certain amount of money, you know, and I was good. So, you know, there's those 2 types of shoplifters. There's also a third one now because of the cost of living crisis. Just mums.
Desperation. Isn't
I
it?
used to sell milk, baby milks to mums half price. They don't even want it at half price no more. They want to go in the shop themselves and get it. That's the life we live right now.
It's the cost of living.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, for a typical day of me raising, you know, I'd always pay my driver half as well. So many drug addicts out there who were just tight as fuck. I haven't got a clue. You know, they might manage to get a car one day, once a blue moon. And the reason it's once a blue moon is because they'll go raising, they'll make 400 quid and give the driver 20 quid. And you're like, fuck that. I ain't never taking him out again. I just seen what he made. And he's giving me 20 quid and I've risked my fucking license. So I would pay my drivers half price.
And
I would fill the fucking tank up as well before they went home. That was the deal. Do you know why? Because I was never short of a driver. I'd have mums on the score run. Hiya, love. Fancy me taking you out, but I got to be back by 3 o'clock. sorry, love, I've got a driver who's going to be around with me all day, but I appreciate it. And if I ever need you, I will keep you in mind. And there was times where my driver who's certified or who I trust wasn't about, and I would have to ring that mother. So that was standard procedure. But an everyday, average day, whatever we done the night before, in the night we go, right, where are we going tomorrow? I don't know. We haven't been to Worcester in a while. Should we go Worcester way? All right, let's go Worcester.
Was it all stuff to order, Cull, or just whatever you could get your hands on, mate?
Bit of both. To be honest, if I could door knock or sell, if I could, like, if I was a shoplifter and I didn't take drugs, I'd be my own fencer. I'd be the guy who would set up a website and sell it at half the price, because then I'd probably make big money. But myself, it was either the odd door knocking to the people who always ask for the order, half price standard. But when there wasn't the orders, it was just get whatever you fucking need, but sell it at a third of a price in bulk, you know? And, you know, I had a buyer for anything. I had a buyer for fucking Tipex and batteries and fucking, you know, and that's dangerous, because if I got a buyer for anything, I'm fucking just going everywhere. And
grabbing anything that you can, you know?
Yeah. You know, for a fencer, for people who don't know, is just someone who just buys everything and sells it on
at a different,
to make a drink, innit?
A different price, yeah.
I'd have people who worked at markets. Yo, Cullan, get phone calls. Listen, I'm running short on Fixodents. Can you get me fucking 500 polygrips and Fixodents? Because they're selling them on the markets at £3 a pop. Okay, how much are you going to give me? I'll give you £1.50 a Fixodent. So I'd go to every fucking Superdrug and every Boots and every Co-op and every Spar that's got Fixodent and Polygrip until my boot is full. And in a day, I've got 1,000 Polygrips and Fixodents. I'd go straight to the house. And I wouldn't just get the Polygrips either, because he wants Lynxes as well and Ambipure plugins at £1 a pop as well. So the card is full. And then we'd go to his house and I'd be like, here we go. Then he'd open his van. He'd have all these little blue boxes empty ready. And he'd go, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'd be there for an hour. All right, then I've got you $2,500, yeah? Bam, there we go, safe. Okay, I won't call you for 6 months now. 6 months' time, I get the same order again. You know, Pokemon cards. Can you get me Pokemon cards? All right. You know, I and like it was seasonal as well. You know, so my bread and butter was alcohol, because alcohol,
bottles of vodka, whiskey, fucking shit, and all that malarkey.
You know, I used to sell towards. I'll give you the most recent price list I'd sell, because this is the times we're in now. 70 CL Smirnoffs, £7. A litre, £10. Yeah, of the standard, the Gordons, the £10 a pop all day. Yeah, and then if it's like a Ciroc, a AU vodka, a champagne, depending on the champagne. If it's £50, I want 20s. But if it's not, £15 a pop, top shelf, £15, 50. This is to the fencers. If I'm going to a pub, or I'm going to a corner shop, or I'm going to someone who wants stuff for Christmas, I'll sell it half price or just under half price. But to my bulkies, I'm just selling them at you know, third of the price all day. You know, sunglasses and frames. I'd walk out of Vision Express with £5,000 in one shop, you know, and this is where the retail value comes. You know, co-ops, I battered. I know where every co-op is in the country. And I know how many co-ops are in each town.
Surprised your fucking face was on every co-op.
Well, some of them there was.
Yeah.
But, you know, because they didn't know me in those areas, I would never get a comeback.
Shares in the co-op was that you fucking knows.
Well, the copper said, they give it, why are you always in these co-ops? They don't give out free green tokens, do they? Because it was the green logo, it's blue now, like that, but back then it was green. But, you know, I battered it. So yeah, typical. We'd wake up in the morning, right? Okay, we're going to Worcester. So we'd drive up to Worcester, and it'd be like a fishing rod. So we'd start there and work our way back. You know, I'd go into Worcester, right? Cooperatives, Worcester. Okay, they've got 6 of them. Hit the 6, yeah. Okay, Specsavers, Worcester. They got 6. Bum 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 bum. Okay, garden centres, Worcester. They got 1. Okay, because they had Yankee candles in there. See?
Yeah. Big sellers.
Then from Worcester, I'm going to Hereford. I'm doing the same thing. Then I'm going to Ross on White. I'm doing the same thing. You know, and if the car's full by then, I'll go to a dodgy corner shop and see if they want to buy the booze off me and all that.
Just try and offload
Just to
it.
offload some money in the pocket banked, and you know, more space. If the police come, it's gone. You know, and that's what I did.
Fucking hell. So, Cole, when did it come to light that, listen, this can't go on. I need to get the fuck out of this shit. When did that start? When did the pin drop?
Oh, the pin drops. Well, there was a couple of things beforehand. Same as I said, like same with how I got on drugs. Was my mental health bad timing and the people I hung around with. Getting off it, I'd say about 2018. At this stage, you know, going to jail quite a lot. I'm starting to think I can't do this no more. My body's starting to deteriorate as well, where I'm a gannet. I always smoked heroin. I've injected, but I was a smoker. Same with the crack. So my lungs were fucked. I was coughing up. I was spewing up every morning. Even if I wasn't clucking, I was spewing up every morning. Bile and black ash. Ash from the pipe. They say you should burn the foil as well. Doctors and harm reduction teams would say burn the foil before you smoke the heroin on the foil. Because of the metals.
The chemicals or whatever's off it.
Yeah, because it causes pleurisy. Well, I never did because I thought my logic was I'm smoking fucking heroin. Never mind the fucking.
I'm not arsed.
It's the least of my worries, like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it did get me, you know. So I went to jail for shoplifting. Got rammed off the road in West Wales. Cornered in.
Police boxed you in.
Yeah. Car was full to the rafters. They were buzzing. There was times, right, where I'd be on the run for months. Before I do that, let me just tell you.
Did you love the buzz, Cullan?
I loved it. I fucking loved it.
I mean, obviously, because the shoplifting and...
It was like cat and mouse, man.
It was like a fucking big game, was it?
Yeah, and I'd go back to my mum and dad's with goods. Like, look what I got. Trying to keep them in their good. They're like, Cullan, we don't want this shit. We just want you.
We want you back, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Cut the grass for them and all that to try and keep them in their good books. What are you doing? Get a fucking life and get off drugs, you weirdo. You know, shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but just quickly on my mum and dad, they tried everything for me. Everything. They took me on holidays to do clucks. And I'd be on the 10th day flying back and I'm scoring straight away. They took me to my nan's in Northampton, Corby. Mad little place, Corby. Search it up. Little Scotland is called. They're all Scottish in the middle of England.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts there, mate. I was there first 2 minutes.
Cause of fucking chaos.
I met the biggest dealer. Just fucking
You'd always find, people will always find a drug dealer or whatever, and
violence up there, sex, fucking robbing. I had to get out of there. I was going to be killed.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same place where that Alan Lambo lives.
Oh yeah,
Kettering Town.
Yeah.
Corby, yeah. Nuts. Northamptonshire. I've been to rehabs, religious rehabs, non-religious rehabs, smoking rehabs,
done everything.
Non-smoking rehabs. My dad took me to get an injection, like an naltrexone injection. We got up there. He lost a deposit because I still had heroin in my system. I was still He took me up there. I had to be 5 days clean. I just thought they said that for the sake of it, you know.
And you fucking...
I'm booting in the Eccleston Hotel. He's paid fucking grands to stay in this hotel in Belgravia. Took me to Harrods, bought me fucking pair of Y3s, Ralphie's, Barber Internationals. I'm proud of you. Let's get it sorted. Went in there, lost his deposit.
I'm surprised he didn't fucking fill you in. Well,
it was the longest drive home, put it that way. And he still stopped at the fucking services to buy me a Burger King. That's just the type of guy he was, like, do you know what I mean? He's a good guy. So, yeah, they tried everything, you know, literally everything. And, you know, what happened was I goes to jail for that. My last jail sentence was 2019 going into 2020, right? So this is what happened. My last jail sentence, work this out. I'm tooed up with my uncle.
You banged up with your uncle?
He's my pad, mate. Yeah. Mad, innit? So my uncle, you can put a photo up if you want when you do. Type in his name, Anthony Mace. He's all over Google.
Yeah.
Supplying Park Prison, running over a copper, all this stuff.
Fucking bonkers.
So where he supplied Park Prison, with a fishing rod, funny enough. He was always a security threat in jail. Closed visits. Had to do a lot to make sure that he wasn't. So a lot of the times he'd be on closed visits because he's suspected of bringing stuff in, like, you know?
Yeah.
Well, because he was on security lockdown.
He was.
I was as well. And I remember thinking, I'm not allowed to even go to education. I'm not allowed to be on association at the same time. Like, I'm looking out on my flap and I'm thinking, how is that guy who's just walked past me, who's in here for murder, allowed to walk around the jail on normal routine?
And I'm
I'm 29, nearly I'm coming up to my 30s, and I'm not allowed out of my cell. Fuck this. Fuck this. And it was the first time in jail that I felt dehumanized. And I thought, I can't do this no more. I cannot be in this environment anymore. I fucking hate it. That young boy who was homesick and hated being away from home. I was getting that. I can't be here.
Started getting them feelings again.
I can't be here, man. I hate it. I miss my family. And the more years are going on, the more of that worry of something bad happening to my family whilst I'm in.
And you can't get out and go and whatever, you know.
Yeah. My nan died in jail whilst I was in jail. Couldn't go to her funeral. It was fucking crazy. So I got out. I went straight back to drugs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that was it.
I know you wanted to finish, Tom.
I don't, mate.
It wasn't it. Lockdown happened. No. 2020. The worst year for a lot of people.
Yeah, COVID, isn't it? That bullshit.
It ended up being the best year of my life. Because I made loads of money shoplifting. No, it's a bad joke. Some people laugh, some people don't. But it's not a joke, it's the truth. For the first time ever, I was allowed to wear a mask. No one would question. I was allowed to go into shops and people were scared to touch you and chase you. I've always...
That was music to your ears, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, right. I've always said, I'm that type of guy, look. If it comes on top, I'll put it down and say, you got me, and walk out. Yeah, right? If I steal from a shop, I was clever about it. I wasn't a runner. If I'm taking 20 bottles off the top shelf, I'm keeping 5 and I'm putting them at the front, you know? Just so...
It's not bang on. It's obvious.
Look, they're going to clock, but I'd rather them clock in 3 days' time than in 10 minutes' time where they can just quickly check CCTV rather than 3 days' time where
lots have gone
on.
on.
Fuck this, I'm not going through 3 days. Do you know what I mean? You got to try and play the game a little bit, innit? So, you know, but my logic was, I don't give a fuck if I get caught in 6 months' time because I've got my fix now. The camera haven't got hands, yeah? But I don't want to be rolling around with security as well. So that was my logic. But, so, you know, I made a lot of money during that lockdown. It was a crazy time. The weather was beautiful, so everyone wanted sunglasses. Shall I tell you how I used to get my sunglasses during lockdown? So, obviously, people would say, you can't make any money no more because it's essential shoppers only and all the shops are shut and all that. What are you going to do and all that? I was like, watch this. So, the co-ops, which was my bread and butter anyway, the Old Faithful, stayed open. But Specsavers, places like that, where people were saying, could you get me any sunglasses still? So I do the same thing I do. I go to these towns, but before I go to these Specsavers now, I'd find an address in that town. It's one in, one out. Yeah? That's what the shops are, one in, one out.
Yeah.
So I'd queue up and go in and say, can I get an eye test, please? And I do the accent wherever I was. All right, can I get an eye test? All that shit, you know, West Country and all that. Or if I'm at the Valleys, can I get an eye test, please, Bad? You know, all that shit. Give them a fake name, give them a fake address.
The accent,
so straight away, they're like, this guy's legit. He's given us his name and address and his date of birth. You know? You got him, mate. Stay there for 20 minutes. There's no way this guy's going to sit in our normal, ask me how my kids and our work and COVID is treating me, right? And in 20 minutes' time, I'm going to steal everything. It's not happening, right? So when I finish the eye test 20 minutes later, I say, do you mind if I could just, like, before I go, I can have a look at the frames? Yeah. Go. Do you want us to open the cabinet for you to have a look at the glasses as well? Yeah. If you're offering, thanks. Now it's one in, one out, but because there's appointments as well, and it's
You were already in the shop.
they're finished with me. I'm already in the shop, so other people are coming in now, so they're busy with that guy.
They're not watching you.
I'm gone. 30, 40, 50 pairs of frames. See you later. I'm gone.
Fucking hell.
That's how I made my money on the glasses. The alcohol, well, if you wasn't drinking alcohol during that first lockdown,
I think
you're
everyone
a fucking alien.
Yeah,
innit?
everyone was drinking.
Everyone became alcoholics, so everyone's asking me for fucking drinks. So, even my fences were getting a bit upset because they were like, "Cullan, man, give me the booze, mate." Fucking everyone's asking. I was like, "No, I'm selling this half price because I got loads of buyers myself." So I made a lot of money, but as an addict, unfortunately, the more money you make, the more drugs you take. I used to make, on average, doing that, I was making anything from £1,000 to £2,000 a day.
Really?
Take home.
Really cool.
On if I'm doing the Ring of Fire or I'm just staying local, I ain't going unless I've made £250 because that's my habit. That means I have to make five.
And you were doing that dough in as well, Cole. You were spending that dough.
Yeah, and that means I have to make £500 to give my driver £250. That was minimum. I think I could count on my hands how many times I walked away with £100 each just because it was dreary, it was late. My habit was £250, and with my OCD it has to be £250. But on my good days when I'm traveling out, I'm making we ain't going. Me and him had a pact. We're not going home unless we've made this much. So we were making £1,000 or £2 a day.
Your OCD there, though, Cole. It had to be 250, even if you'd made 230 or 240.
I couldn't.
Listen, you got to go back in. You've got to.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. and it was it was mad. But again, the more money you make, the more drugs you take. I would make £1,000. I'd go to and you know what? I was the Robin Hood, not just in the terms of stealing and giving to the paupers as a deal. I was the Robin Hood amongst the addicts. So I never ever relied on anyone. I didn't graft with anyone. My driver wasn't a heroin smoker. He liked a bit of the crack, but I didn't smoke with him. We knew what we were doing and we were good at it. I'd go back to flat. I couldn't smoke on my own. I'd have to go to a flat.
And would you share?
Yeah. So I was putting everyone on. So everyone loved me because they knew they were in for a free smoke. But there would be times where I'd go to someone's flat 3-4 times on a trot. I wouldn't go for a day or two. I'd go, where you been? As if like
it was relying on you.
yeah. Like in a mood with me because I haven't been there. So I'd be partying, and even though I made thousands a day, I'd wake up in the morning at home and ask my mum for a cigarette. That's how it had to all go. It wasn't like I've got this much money a year. This is what I can do with it. This is how I can, save. It was, that's how much money there. How can I, like in cartoons when it turns into something else, how can I equal that into pieces? How can I equal that into heroin and crack and alcohol and fags and maybe even a prostitute? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So, I abused drugs very, very bad then. And even though I was already deteriorating, it was fucking bad. And we got caught. We got caught up in Hereford. Yeah, Hereford. I thought I was going to jail. My reputation, my track record. I'm a prolific professional shoplifter. I've been caught in Hereford, so I'm probably going to go to an English jail. And at this moment, I'm like, I can't go back. And I'm not going back.
Did you go on the run?
I went. I don't know why I went. I had my ass full of drugs as well. So that kind of helped me get there. I had a suspended sentence and a tag.
Fuck off.
Something was...
Someone must have been looking down on you.
Yeah. So I said to myself, do you know what? I am fucking done. I am not shoplifting anymore. I had a word with my dad. My dad was on a level. He knew what I was up to at this point. As much as, what I've learned from my mum and dad speaking to other parents as well is they just got to a stage where they were expecting the knock on the door that I was going to die. But until they get the knock on the door, just live your life. 90% of the time you're worrying, he's probably okay anyway. And that's how they got to live their lives. My mum's a school teacher. There was times they would be looking for me. 3 in the morning, my mum's got school at 8 o'clock. 3 o'clock in the morning, budging my dad, I can't sleep, let's go look for Cullan. And they'd be down the docks looking for me. They went through all that. There was times when I was on the run in bed and breakfasts. They were looking for me. They're going on holiday, and you know, I meet them, and then they fucking grass me up to the police, and the police kicked down the B&B just because they couldn't go on holiday knowing that I was on the run just in case something happened. They've gone through all that. My dad's tried running me over. He's tried breaking my legs. These things have happened, like really traumatic things. Me and my brother have had murder, you know, because it's shame on him. So all these things have happened, yeah. So I said to Dad, look, I can't do this no more. I don't know how I'm going to stop, but I'm not going to jail again. But we'll work it out. And he started funding me. And it was the first time as an addict that I wasn't a gannet. And I started...
Weaning you off it slowly.
Well, I'll tell you this quickly, right? This is how on a level my granny was in Kettering, in Corby. She tried everything for me. Now, bearing in mind, her son, Anthony, she went through all that. She knows the dance. You can't blag her. But when my mum and dad went, for a week, I was smoking because I scored off that dealer, which they didn't know about. I was upstairs for a week. My dad's ringing up, checking. How is he? Yeah, he's all right. Cullan, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just booted in the bedroom. She thinks I'm doing a detox. A week came down. I went down. I said, Nan, I've been smoking. Instead of her saying, right, you're going home, she went, right.
Gets a fork and all that, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
She went, right. It's okay. We're going to sort this out. Give me the dealer's number. I said, no. She went, trust me. Give me the dealer's number. I said, why? She went, give me the dealer's number. I trusted her. She went, what's his name? I went, Soggy. How was his name, Soggy?
Yeah.
I hope I ain't dropping him in anything now.
Yeah.
Just years ago, like 2012. She went, hello, in her Scottish accent. Hello, is that Soggy? It's a shit accent. I'm pretty good with accents. Is that Soggy? Yeah, who's that? It's Cullen's grandmother. Now, we already thought it was a copper because I've just come up like this guy, you know. So he's weedy. He went, listen, he's up here doing his rattle. I've just found out that he's using. Can you come to the house? She's one of them with her words now. He manages to come to the house. She goes, right, here's my post office card. How much can I get with 150 quid?
She bought 150 quid's worth of gear.
She lived on the terrace house. The corner shop was there. He's gone to the house. He's gone to... She's trusted the dealer with the postcard, so he's like, fucking hell, okay, I trust her. Come back with 150 quid. He went, right, I can get that. So straight away, I've gone, okay, so now get 10 brown and 10 whiskey. I can get 20 pieces for 150 quid, he said, yeah. She's gone, you ain't having no whiskey. I said, what do you mean?
Not knowing what it means.
Well, crack is, no, but no, she does. She knows white, she knows.
White, yeah.
She knows it's crack and heroin. But she's going, no. So crack with me, that's just a party. You don't really need to smoke the crack. I got a physical addiction with heroin, yeah? So she was like, no, I ain't buying you crack. This isn't a fucking party. I'm buying you the heroin. And what we're going to do is, you're going to have 5 days on the heroin, a bag a day. And then we're going to do half.
Try and wean you off.
Then we're going to do a quarter. And then we're done.
Did she think it was that
I went,
easy?
no worries, Nan, I'll do that. Well, of course.
You're fucking not.
Listen. With any addict, right, you just have to stop. Now, with alcohol, it's different. Like I said, you could die. You have to wean them off. But with addiction like heroin, crack, you just got to stop dead. It's as simple as that, okay? So, anyway, my dad's helping me out now. And my mate comes and knocks on my door and my driver and goes, listen, I need to go out, bro. I need to go out. It's my, I need to get money for my boy and blah, 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 blah. Please. So he talked me into taking him out. I was on weekly takeouts with methadone at this time because it was lockdown. They were giving out weekly takeouts because they didn't want people going in for the first time in my life, I felt like a model drug addict because I was getting takeouts. But you know, you have to give. I never give a clean sample in my life. Normally, you
Someone
have to
else
pick
was
up
doing
every
it.
day.
Yeah, someone was doing it for you.
No, just I'd always give a negative sample, so they'd never give me takeouts. But because of lockdown,
Oh, right.
they were giving them to everyone. And here's me thinking I'm a model user. So anyway, long story short, because I know we're stuck on time. My dad was like, "I'll take you in the morning before you go," and I spoke him round to no, I got to be up early. We got to go over the bridge. I'm on tag. I got to get back. It's also a drought during lockdown. I got to score ahead of winning Newport. Please let me just go early. Anyway, I spoke him round to it. Yeah, and he wasn't liking it because my dad always took me to get my takeouts because I'd either sell it, lose it, or fucking drink it all. All right? Bear that in mind. So we goes over the bridge. We makes our money. We gets back. We sells it. We scores in time and gets back to my home with loads in the car to sell tomorrow. I think it was like 5 minutes late of my tag. But where I had been so focused and hellbound on getting home in time, I left my meth in his car. So next thing you know, next morning, my dad wakes me, where's your meth? I went, I left it in his car. You fucking idiot. He starts kicking off. I'm like, I said, like, you don't take them drugs anyway. He's like, fucking ring him up now. Ring him up. So I phones him up and his missus answers the phone. Like, what the fuck? She would never have his phone.
Yeah.
I call, yeah. The thing is, he won't wake up. He won't wake up. We had an argument last night and he won't wake up. What? I said, I'm coming round now. I got to get my meth. She went, well, that's the thing. He you know, we were arguing, and then he said he was gonna drink one of your bottles of meth. I said, fuck off,
Because he wasn't.
He would never do that. He just wouldn't do it. He used to try and help me get off the drug, and I never took the drug when he was. I never used that drug around him. For his respect and my respect.
Yeah.
She was an addict, but he wasn't, and he was trying to help her as well, I think. So I'm just thinking, no, you're lying. You've had it because it's a drought and you've had my, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, goes over there. He's there. He's snoring. So I thought he's okay. He's awake. Goes upstairs, get my meth. I goes. Later that afternoon, I get a phone call off my father saying he's dead. So
fuck me.
We know this in drug services. Don't ignore the snore. They call it the death rattle. And I just wish that I tried, but you know,
you're just assuming that he was okay. Cool,
yeah. And I think you know, listen, like I won't go in too much. I've spoken about it before, but you see that was it for me. That was it, and I do what I do now, big part because of him and what happened. I'll quickly touch on it as well. But so it hit me like a fucking bus.
I bet you it did.
This, you know. And whatever my body was going through, the deterioration, my immune system went down. My immune system went down there and then when I found that out. And it started getting attacked. I started getting these bad pains in my chest and in my back. So much to the point that I phoned the fucking doctors. And I avoided doctors at all costs. Always self-medicated.
Yeah.
Never had an headache for 10 years. Goes down there. They went, right, you need to go up the hospital. I went up the hospital. They'd done some tests on me. They said, look, it's just an infection. Here's some antibiotics. Goes home. I'm still booting. My head's shot with the news. I goes to bed. I wakes up at 3 a.m. in a drenched bed. Sweating, boiling, out of breath. I gets up. It feels like someone's stabbing me in my back, right?
Pain's excruciating.
Oh. I managed to get out of bed. I calls my mum and dad. Next thing you know, I wakes up in hospital fucking 2 days later. I had a mask on. I tried taking the mask off. I couldn't breathe. I put it back on. I'm trying to tell them, why am I here? What's happening? They don't know. I've got fucking syringes.
Drips and all that in
two drips in both sides. And yeah, that was it. I thought I was going to die. The same day he passed, I almost passed away as well. Whilst I'm in there, you know, I'm thinking all sorts like about my life and what I'm going to do. And OCD came into play, you know, and I was that sure that I was going to die that I said to myself, please, 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 like I do with any of my other rituals, let me get out of this hospital bed. Let me get out of this hospital alive, and I promise you I will never take drugs again. I swear to God, I will share my story, and I will, you know, do whatever I can to raise awareness. Just please let me get out of here. And that's what it was. I stayed in there for about 2-3 weeks. A guy came in. He said, look, because there was a bottle of meth found at a scene of a death, they're saying that you can go back on meth, but you have to pick them up every single day, including weekends. Or you can be a test trial, like a guinea pig, for this new drug that's now called Buvidal, which is an injection you take once a month to block the opiates. It's been working in Australia and Sweden. You will be part of the trial. And, you know, I was quite like apprehensive, but I just resorted back to what I was saying. If I go out now and go back on methadone, I'm going against my bargain, you know. And I believe these bargains so strong with my OCD. I have to do these things because that's what OCD. It's like karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, walk around that lamppost and they'll be safe. It's this, you know. So there was a man next to me and he said, "Just go on here. What have you got to lose?" And he said, "Well, come back the next day." Well, the next day, the guy next to me died, and that was like the nail in the coffin of trying it. Now I thought in a week's time of being on it, it might not work, and I'll go back, but at least I tried. But I'm here now speaking to you 4 years later.
And Cullan, that's what I want to, you know, to see where you're at now, you know, with what you've done, and you fucking hell, it's such a, you've had a life of absolute madness. It is madness, you know, good, bad, and ugly. And, you know, that's why I wanted to get you on. And, you know, seeing you thrive with your podcast, the Central Club podcast, it's, you know, it's, where did it come from? How did it come about, and the name and everything?
Come from more trauma, really. I've always been a fan of podcasts. All those times late at night, on the run, in bed and breakfasts, at girls' houses, sofa surfing. When I'm left on my own to think about things, I normally put a smart TV on and watch
YouTube or something.
YouTube, and yeah, it get me through it. One thing I loved about watching some podcasts was watching people who've been through addiction. But
I'm relating to it.
I used to relate to it till the very end when they'd say they got clean. And that kind of upset me a bit.
You've done all the hard parts, Cullan, and the finish line. It's that saying, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
So you get to that certain point, back down the fucking ladder.
Yeah.
It's like stakes and ladders.
And you know, it's good. You know, they did help me, these podcasts, but it was like, fuck, why can't I get to that last bit? So a part of that is the process of why I do this. When I got clean, I thought, how am I going to share my story? Everything happens for a reason. This guy messaged me randomly at a charity. He said, "Can you do a video for us about some of your low points in life?" I don't know if he knew about my story or he just randomly said it, but I done like a 5-10 minute video.
And that's really
that went viral within Wales. Had like 300 shares, thousands of views, loads of likes, loads of people messaging me who I've burned bridges with, fell out with, hadn't spoken to for a long time, and people I looked up to as well, who I didn't think liked me, messaging me, telling me how much it helped them, and it helped me as well. And sadly, what happened also from that video was a friend of mine who I grew up with, wasn't best mates, but you know,
we were friends.
We'd have a fucking good crack, like we knew each other all our lives. He shared it, saying it's good to talk, and the next day he killed himself.
Cullan, you know, just that here and that is, it's powerful because, you know, people, you obviously did you burn bridges with because what you were doing and what you were going through with your addiction, and then you're taking like podcasts that get you through it and stuff, and then look at what you're doing now, what you have done. You know, you've been there, you've lived it, you've actually, you know, it's been fucking absolutely off the scale with what you've done, but people can relate to people like yourself who come across it on me, you know, audio platforms, on you know, video platforms and they can relate to it because it's real. It's not something. It's not scripted. You know what I mean? And that's how I started this podcast, because I get something from it, from my adversities in life, and this is how it's brought us together. Because
if anything, it's a counselling session for me and you, innit?
Yeah, of course.
And the guests you go with.
And I've always, my missus said to me, "What do you get out of it, Tony?" And I've never ever told her. I've said, and she went, "You listen to people," and you know what I mean. And then I'm not saying I'm going to save the world, Cole. I wish I fucking could, but I'm not. But I might save one person's life, and
We can change what's around us.
We can change and people that are around us. Cole, what you're talking about is going on every day in our towns and in our cities, in our little estates.
Yeah.
Fucking John the barber, his son, he's got a great business and all that. His son's bad on the fucking Charlie every weekend, and it leads to other things, and it escalates, and then they become an addict. And when they watch these podcasts, this is what they get from it. They're not the only people it's happened to.
You're not the only one in this.
And it's not the end of the world. You've got to fight for what you want.
Yeah.
You haven't got to do it for somebody else. You've got to do it for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast. You're on the podcast, but what you've created and brought to everyone's screens and audio platforms. There's a lot of guests on there. What people take a lot from. You got to be fucking proud of yourself, mate. Do you know what I mean? And that's being dead honest. You've got to be proud of yourself. And some of the guests you've had on your podcast. Did you ever think when you were fucking shoplifting, having that buzz, getting chased by the police, being locked up, that you would ever have a studio with an editor and stuff like that? You'd never think. You got to be proud of yourself. And sometimes, people say that, I compliment sometimes. I get a little bit.
I do. I can't take a compliment.
Yeah. I'm like,
I've lost 3
nice.
stone. People say you've lost weight. I say fuck off. And it's the same with a studio. Like we know how hard it is to start a podcast. Of
course it is.
Anything that I make off this podcast goes straight back into it. This is all paid for from the podcast.
I'm the same, Cole.
And I love doing it because recovery is selfish, right? So number one, if it ain't changing anyone else's life, this is fucking helping me, because it is. Like, it helps me so much. This is my focus, and I know that it's the same for you.
Exactly.
And if we can help others in the process, which I know we are, that's what it's all about.
How does it make you feel? Because I know what you're going to say. How does it make you feel when someone messages the podcast, and you or Harrison pick the fucking message up? Me and my son or my daughter watched that podcast, Tony or Cullan. It's that feeling where
I get messages of people saying, and I've had it a few times, "Hey Carl, just want to let you know I've got a job in this service. Thanks to you, you have given me not only the hope and inspiration that I could get a job like this, but actually given me the courage and confidence to go and apply for that job, and I've got it, and I've used you as an example." And I'm like, fucking hell.
But Cole, that's considering where your life was 4 years ago, mate. Let's be honest, it was a car crash. Look at you now, mate. You're a fucking Grand Prix driver because you're smashing it. And it's when we get people on our podcast like you do yours, it's the real people with real stories. It's the people who are around us. It's not. Don't get me wrong. We get a couple of people who've done very well for themselves, who are celebs.
And when people come on like that, I fucking love it, because I'm like, these were my heroes. Like, but when people say, "Oh, who's your favorite podcast?" Like, I'm thinking, should I be telling them someone who they know? And I'm like, do you know what? It's not. It is the Tony Murrells. It is the Rachel Williams. Do you know what I mean? It's those everyday people who have gone through genuine shit in life, right?
Yeah.
Who have got the fucking cojones to actually come on a podcast and share that experience. Because most of the celebrity ones are only on there for how well they done. They're not talking about their bad stuff, their negative life.
But this is the
They're
thing.
talking about the stuff they want to blow, I'm not trying to diss anyone, but what I'm saying, it's easy for a celebrity to come on and talk about how well they've done. It takes a fucking big man to come on and speak about their fucking problems.
Well, listen, and a woman as well that comes on and shares, because everyone, you see this.
Anyone, yeah.
They portray on social media, everything's all hunky-dory. No one sees you when you're crying. No one sees you when you've lost a family member and you don't want to get out of bed. You drink or drugs is probably the only way that you've been coping, but then you snap out of it, you fucking put that to bed, you put your big boys fucking pants on, and you do something about it.
Well, I think you've just given me an inspiration for something that I've set up that I haven't told anyone as well, just from what you just said then. So I've set up an Instagram account that I was going to use just to post negative shit, like, you know, whether I'm looking like a piece of shit in the morning,
Yeah.
whether it's a bad day, because every post that I put up and I see anyone else put up is when they've just done something grandioso.
Yeah.
Well, you're giving me it now, because I'm telling you, like, I'm gonna start posting on that Instagram. I want people to see the vulnerability in me to hopefully resonate with them and change their
But
life.
everyone has good days and bad days and stuff. But Cullen, like from the podcast, you know, and the reason I've just been fucking about with my phone, because I've been speaking to your missus, and it's your anniversary today,
Yeah.
right? So I spoke to Alex.
Oh, she's giving you all that insight, if she?
No, listen, mate, and it's a fucking lovely, lovely thing what she said about you, and you know where she wants to start, and she said she loves you because of how the reception of recovery. You inspire her daily, no matter what. Always puts others first. I'm fucking even getting emotional here. Your delivery isn't always the best. Granted, usually the loudest in the room and stuff. But you fucking care for everyone. He loves me for all my flaws. He gives me safe space overbearing. He makes me laugh like no one ever has. Cullen, it's fucking, honestly, what she says about you, mate. You're like a 6 foot odd toddler, but I couldn't picture my life without you. There's no one on the earth she wants to spend the days without. Okay, I love our chaotic life. We have grown so much together in a short space of time. Every challenge been faced. You overcome everything. You really are a social butterfly now walking the path. I love what your podcast stands for. You work so hard to break barriers and the stigma attached to those who either have lived a colourful life or past life. Good right there. Today is actually our anniversary, so please would you tell my fiance just how much I love him.
Fucking hell.
So it felt a bit of a fucking what's name because
Feels like this is my life.
so that's why I was fucking about with my phone. But I messaged it and I said to her, Alex, is there anything that you'd like to what's name? So
Well, you know, without trying to sound I get out of this easily, but everything that she's just said there about me is a mirror of her. Like, she is exactly the same. Like, and I think that's why, you know, we click. They say the opposites attract. I think that's bullshit sometimes, man. You know, it's not. It you know, it obviously is the case with some people, but you know, we are like two peas in a fucking pod, and
she gets you, mate. She understands
you. She does. And you know what? I've never been so sure in someone being the one for me, like, you know, like, and people would say that, you know, we got engaged too soon and stuff, but I think just when you know, you know.
If you know, it's like, I've been with my missus 28 years, mate, and I knew when I first met her, I thought, she's the one for me, like, do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, we've had our ups and downs, fucking hell, who hasn't? You know, it's bullshit, everyone. You don't argue. I piss on the bog seats, I piss on the floor, there's murder in our house, do you know what I mean?
That's me too, man.
but it's like I say, Cole, you know, it's good to see that you said that, you know, it's his 12-month anniversary and stuff, and I thought, I've got to message her and see what she said, and that's what I was fucking about with me.
Do you know what? She actually said to me the other day, she went, because like, obviously, she gets like a lot of weirdos trying to follow her.
Thanks very much, yeah.
No, but she went, I said, yeah, he's good stuff. Accepted.
Yeah, so she did, but Cole, I know we're what's the name for time, but I just want to say you're making a difference massively. You know, people watch, listen on what you're doing, raising awareness. You're living proof that you can turn your life around, no matter how good, bad, and ugly it gets. You've got to be proud of yourself.
I like the way you ended that then as well, the good, bad. Well, just quickly, you know, like, you know, I've been able to go back into prison as a civilian.
Yeah,
I've been able to go into police headquarters and speak to police officers who have kicked down my door. I've been able to go into schools and speak to kids that were me 15, 20 years ago. So, you know, the podcast is obviously being a conduit to that. But, you know, there's so many things I'm trying to achieve. And, you know, I want this thing, Central Club, to be more than a podcast as well. I want it to be...
You're saving lives,
safe
mate.
Space.
You're saving lives, and you've got to be proud of yourself. You know, you've got good lad there.
Half a good lad.
He's half a good lad. He's a good lad. But and you got your missus, and you know you've got good family around you. So look, mate, be very proud. Yeah, you know, be proud of yourself. And Last thing I want to just touch on, what's in the pipeline for Cullan Mais?
I'm going through a transition in my life right now. I can't really speak too much on it, just because of, let's say, legal purposes. But, you know, I believe that everything happens for a reason in life. I believe I'm on the right path. A lot of people may know me as a drug worker as well. You know, I love my job as that. That's all I can say on that at the moment.
Experience, you know, giving good advice to people. That's what people want.
Yeah. I've just been contacted by Vice to film some documentaries with them. I've been doing a lot of like appearances on like GB News, Channel 4, you know, Radio 5 Live, etc. So there's like two things that, you know, I want to achieve in life. And that, number one, I think from a professional standpoint, I want to be able to host and present great documentaries that, you know, I co-host and co-produce. I want this podcast to obviously excel into something more than that. I want to look at maybe setting up a charity for people, not just with drug addiction, but of course mental health.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I just want to be a beacon of light for people, to show people that it's never too late to change. And it don't just have to be drug addiction either, you know, it can be the way you're perceived in the public, whether it's through scrutiny, whether it's, you know, you've gone through a divorce or a family member might have gone through some sort of abuse. I just want people to look and think, hey, if that fucking poor sod can get through it, then so can I.
Cullan, powerful, mate. And listen, I think your message, no doubt, will reach out to many people, mate. And I just want to say thanks very much for sharing the good, the bad and the ugly, mate.
Thank you very much.